Oké, welkom allemaal. Vandaag hebben we het voorrecht om de fantastische coach te mogen interviewen. Met trots presenteren wij dan ook drievoudig KNBSB-coach van het jaar.
Stanley Doney!
Yay! Oh, tof. Zeg, en hoe kennen wij Stanley eigenlijk?
Ja, kan ik beter even een beetje aan jou vragen eigenlijk.
Ik had besloten dit jaar bij Olympia te gaan spelen, Olympia Haarlem. En hij is daar coach van de dames en besloot het herenteam ook te gaan coachen. Dus ik mocht samen onder zijn vleugels een jaartje spelen. Nou, dat was echt fantastisch, dus ik heb veel afgekeken. Maar wie is Stanley eigenlijk?
Ja, nou, Stanley speelde dus vanaf zijn 4e jaar op b-ball in eerst Sydney, Australië. Daarna ging hij softballen. Nou, dat heb hij tot zijn 16e jaar zo'n beetje gedaan. Vervolgens verhuisde hij naar Nieuw Zeeland voor 2 jaar en ging daarna weer terug naar Down Under om cricket te spelen.
Tja, cricket.
Ja, cricket.
Hij heeft ook nog zo'n andere spel gespeeld. Dat heeft hij het ook over. Aussie Rules.
Voetbal.
Ja. Stanley begon zijn Europese avontuur in Denemarken als speler en coach.
Softballend Nederland maakte voor het eerst kennis met Stanley als speler van het onder andere Britse Meteors tijdens het internationale Zeister Slot toernooi. Daar heb ik ook nog het eer gehad om tegen hem te mogen spelen.
Ja, en daar kwam je achteraf achter, hè, toen je die foto's zag. Van,
na het interview en na zijn foto's pas. Grappig, hè?
Ja, super.
Al snel werd duidelijk dat Stanley zijn ambities vooral bij het coachen lagen. De lijst van clubs en nationale teams is inmiddels indrukwekkend te noemen.
Ja, en ook een hele lange lijst is dat. Maar we gaan niet alles hier opnoemen, want het is wel heel erg veel. Nou ja, highlight. Naast het leidinggeven aan het nationale mannen softbalteam van Groot-Brittannië...
Met een bronzen medaille als resultaat op het EK 2012...
was Stanley ook onderdeel van de coachstaf van het Nederlands damesteam in 2016.
Ja, en daarmee haalde hij de 4e plaats, het beste resultaat ooit voor de dames.
Tja.
In 2015 leidde Stanley de Haarlemse club Olympia naar niet alleen de play-offs, maar zelfs naar de Holland-series, welke toen werden gewonnen door die andere Haarlemse topclub.
Ja, Oost-Parks was dat. Maar ja, in 2017 en 2018 behaalde Stanley met Olympia Haarlem de landstitel en dus de beste van Nederland werd hij daarmee.
Ja, en Stanley keerde in 2018 na 4 seizoenen als hoofdcoach van Olympia terug naar Nieuw Zeeland. Om vervolgens in 2021 weer terug te keren naar Haarlem. En?
Ja, het landstitel van 21 en 22 mocht daardoor weer naar Olympia teruggaan. Ja, dat was het tof. Waarschijnlijk had corona wat daarmee te maken. Dat
er waren een paar gekke jaren, was dat even. Maar goed, genoeg daarover. Het was alleen niet genoeg voor Stanley.
Nee, naast de titel bij de dames softbal heeft Stanley dus ook besloten een nieuwe hoofdklasse Olympia mannenteam naar de landstitel te coachen.
Ja, een prestatie die nog nooit eerder is voorgekomen in onze tak van sport. En deze prachtige prestatie leverde Stanley de prestigieuze prijs op van...
Coach van het jaar.
Yeah!
En dat is hij dus nu op dit moment nog steeds, nu deze podcast opgenomen wordt. Misschien dat hij dat volgend jaar...
En in zijn totaliteit al 3 keer, hè?
Ja.
3 keer heeft hij hem mogen ontvangen.
Nou, wij
dus.
nog Wes. Hey.
Ja, nou, we leggen de lat wel hoog, hè, zo.
Ja, nou, laten we veel van hem leren in deze podcast.
We spreken over een waar coachingfenomeen op onze softbalvelden.
Nou ja, aflevering 4, die komt er nu aan. Dus geniet en luister vooral naar wat deze succescoach heeft te vertellen. En leer net als ons, want wij hebben er ook veel van geleerd. Oké, there we go.
Enjoy.
Play ball.
If you want to know where I was born, it was in Sydney, Australia, but I had Kiwi parents. They had me at a young age. So my first 16 years were in Australia, and then I moved to New Zealand. But I only moved to New Zealand for 6 months because I finished my schooling in the USA, in Michigan. And then I went back to New Zealand, then back to Australia for a couple of months. And then I lived in New Zealand till I was about 22, 23. Then decided I wanted to go back to Europe. So,
awesome.
Yeah, that's how I ended up in Europe. And then I ended up here, as I was just talking to you a little bit earlier about. Yeah. My girlfriend is Dutch. I met her at the Zeister Slot tournament playing softball in Zeist. And a one-night stand turned into a 1 month stand that turned into a relationship. And we were going back and forth. That was when I was with Great Britain Softball. And then I ran into a guy called Michael Bastian, who introduced me to a lady called Caroline Powell. She was leaving the Olympia club and was looking for a coach. And I was quite happy, actually, at Great Britain Softball. Had a good gig going over there. But then I sort of said to Baldy, and do you want to get serious about this relationship? Because it means I'm going to have to take a huge pay cut. And I have to move to Haarlem. And she was obviously in Utrecht, meeting in Zeister, and she moved to Haarlem, and we lived here in 2015. One thing I'm still trying to get used to is I was always told that you're a direct nation, and you are very direct in saying the way that you feel about things, but I've been told off for saying that I'm too direct, which I kind of get, and I've asked people that, and they says, no, I'm direct in the wrong way. And I'm like, well, I don't know how. There's some certain subjects you can be directed, and they're like, oh no, that's just rude. And I get sort of confused. There's sort of like a rule book as to what you can be direct about and not be direct about. So I've been here, 6 summers now, and I still haven't learned that one yet. But I'll get there.
And how about like driving on the left side?
No, I'm all right with that.
Driving on the right side?
No, actually, that's something I miss, because all your roads are in such great condition compared to New Zealand. And even the bike lanes and the bike lights and the pedestrian lanes, everything is such a dream over here compared to New Zealand. So that's something I'm definitely going to miss when I leave.
So what I remember was from this season, because I was a player in your team as well. You were my coach. And then one of the times that I remember quite well was that you were saying in the WhatsApp group, was saying like, well, guys, we don't have training for tonight because I don't want you to travel this long. I had some trainings in Australia where we're traveling for 9 hours, and then it was blasted away, so we don't do it as well here. And so 9 hours traveling for a training.
Yeah, how about that?
And there was still no guarantee to make the team. So this is when I was 15, 16 years old, and I'm guessing 1992, 1993. I was part of the New South Wales setup, and I was trialling for the under-19 state team to go to the Nationals. And kind of lucky that I did come from a softball family, because they sort of looked at my dad and knew what my dad could do. But we moved from Sydney to these country remote places, and it was a 6-hour drive. But I obviously didn't have my driver's license, so I had to get public transport. And public transport took 9 hours, getting the bus, and no internet back in those days either. So once you're committed, you're going, and it could have been raining in Sydney that weekend.
Get a book.
I also used to do it with my cousin, Demetrius. So that was one of the advantages. I didn't do it on my own. He was 2 years older than me, and he was more, not a shoo-in, but he was more guaranteed to make the team. Whereas I was on the cusp. I was only a 16-year-old, so I had to compete with the guys that were 17, 18, 19. I was the skinniest in the team by far, but I didn't know whether I was going to make the team. But luckily I had a massive amount of speed. Not Jeff Delfina speed, but pretty close. So I ended up getting picked for that team. So the 9-hour bus journeys weren't a waste in the end. But it was brutal, especially when you had to train all weekend, come back, and you had school on Monday. There was a lot of times where I was pretty tired at school on Mondays, but luckily the out of Sydney players only had to go to training once a month, whereas the state guys in Sydney had to go like 3 times a month, I think it was. It was a brutal program, but that's just the way it was. You don't know any better when you're young. You just do what you're told. So I just did what I was told, and that incorporated 9-hour bus journeys. That's one way, by the way. So we had to do 9 hours back as well. So it was a 18-hour round trip.
Wow.
Staying with host families, and
that's a different thing, because staying with those families also means that you get accepted in the community.
Bearing in mind, this is only just to make the state team to go to nationals. This isn't national team training like you have over here. This is just to try and make the state team, so you can compete and make the national team to go to a Junior World Series. And it's kind of funny, because that group that I was with, that was when Australia started winning lots of junior national titles.
All right.
I think New Zealand and Canada were the strongest juniors back then. Then I think Australia rattled off like 3, 4, maybe 5 in a row. And that started with my generation. And I can even name some of them: the Grego brothers, the Metakingi brothers, the Del Perro brothers for Western Australia. These are some names that, Chris Kiefel was the pitcher for Victoria back then. Like, these are some really good Australian names. Maybe you guys don't know them, or Europeans don't know them, but they were good. They changed the face of Australian softball back in the day. That was when I was young, but then I moved to New Zealand, and that's a different conversation. That's a different podcast altogether.
When you say that they won like a couple titles in a row, that means they were doing something really good. like getting all the players out for a 8 or 9 hour travel. Do you know where I'm getting at?
Yeah, we were in the minority. There was only 3 of us. There was one other guy called Thomas Doubleday from Griffith, and that was 1 hour further west of us. So he had 10 hours. And you just got used to it. It was weird. Like, you knew that everyone else only had to travel 1 hour. Yeah. But I guess the good thing for us is we only had to turn up once a month. We knew the other guys had to do it 3 times a month, maybe even 4. I can't remember. But you got given the program. The program was given to you if you wanted to make the state team. Yeah. You don't know it. You didn't have to sign up to try and make the state team.
Right.
But actually, some people pulled out of it because they had to have work, or there's lots of people that pulled out of school at the age of 17 and went to work and had to concentrate on work and other things.
And we're still talking about softball here, or do we talk about baseball now?
No, softball.
Maybe you can tell a little bit about softball in New Zealand instead of baseball. What's here like the default for guys or something like that?
Well, baseball's starting to come into New Zealand now, and actually one of my cousins just got picked for the New Zealand team that's going to compete at the Worlds next month.
All right.
To wear the Bishop, but I don't know him. Like I said, like Manny was saying, our family's big. He's a second cousin of mine, and all our family knows each other. But because I was one of the younger ones, he actually just played for the Diamond Blacks at the World Baseball Classic 2 months ago. They didn't qualify and make the finals. I think Great Britain qualified for the World Baseball Classic, got a spot. And 2 months later, he was, just last weekend, he was catching for the Wellington team that just won the provincial tournament, and he's in the New Zealand team. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah. He's crossing both sides of the sport.
Yeah.
It is getting bigger in New Zealand, but softball in New Zealand has been huge for many decades.
That's the part that we're trying to enlighten, because we in Holland think softball is a minor sport, comparing to football, soccer, or whatever. But in like New Zealand and Australia, softball is a big deal.
Yeah,
you can get like actually paid to play softball. You can make it into state division teams. You can make your living out of it for a while. Actually,
it was more so in my day, in the 90s and the 2000s, especially pitchers.
Yeah,
pitchers would get looked after, but the ISCs and the American season is where you could earn some proper coin. Yeah, the money's died off a lot these days, and the sport is getting a little bit smaller. Some of that is because of other sports, the amount of money that's being thrown around, and there's a lot of other women's sports that are starting to be highlighted. I mean, even Aussie rules and cricket in Australia, especially, they're starting to get a lot more TV time. And there's a lot more money. Even rugby league in women's in Australia, I'm watching sometimes. So there's some other sports doing some good things, but we're trying to combat that with some other formats of the game. Cricket has T20. In Australia, they called it, what was it called? SummerSlam. It's just a short 40, 45-minute version of the game, which is exciting. I was trying to get it done here at Olympia this summer. Right. I was close to getting it done, but I didn't really quite sell it on people, and it was a lot to organise. And because I was coaching the men's and women's team here this season, I was like, I've got too much on my plate already. So put that in the shelf. But it's something that you want to try in the future. It's called F45 in New Zealand.
45.
Just short, sharp. Might get you out of retirement. Yeah, you only have to pitch for 40 minutes.
Yeah, I can manage 40 minutes. That'll be all right.
But where's the thing here? Because you learned me this year something. You learned me, don't talk about it, just do it. And I was talk about, nice it would be to have a wiffle ball like field here, and then take all cameras on it, and you said, man, don't talk about it. Just do it. You got a lot of cool guys around you. Just do it.
Yeah. It's one thing I always hate is just people that just talking about or dreaming about something. It's the old story. If you dream it, then you can go and do it. Well, I'm not a total believer of that. Like, if I believed I wanted to be heavyweight boxing champ of the world, I'm pretty sure I'd get knocked out my first fight I try. But there's some things that you can do if you dream it and believe it. If it's just building something or making something, then you can go and study to do a lot of those things. If it requires some extraordinary athletic talent, then maybe your dreams have to be curbed a bit. But that's why you have coaches and family and friends. It's like you've got that show, Netherlands Got Talent, right?
Yeah.
When you see those terrible singers that go up, Surely you have friends that can tell you, do not audition for this. You are a terrible singer. I know you have dreams to become the next, I don't know, the famous Dutch singers are, but you have good friends that tell you, no, you're not a very good singer. Find another passion. It's the same way. But if it's something that you can do, it's like, yeah, don't talk about it, man. Just go and do it.
What can we do as a parent, as a coach, as a neighbor, I just saying, to lift up the sports? How do we get it back up?
You have to make it exciting. Yeah, one thing you got to realize is that you are competing against other sports, and there's new sports coming in. I had one of my players; she used to play korfball. Like no one knew what korfball was 20 years ago, but it's huge now. Like it's similar to netball in New Zealand. But the thing is, people are inventing new sports. Ultimate frisbee. There's just so many different sports going out of there that you've got to adapt. You've got to adapt. And I used to coach in Great Britain for many, many years, and we'd go to these expos at schools, and there'd be 4 or 5 different sports there, and I'd be there representing softball. And I fully respect all the other sports, but my job that day was to have these kids go away
To sell it.
to sit there and go, listen, I want them to think softball was the coolest sport that I did today out of all 4 or 5. So that's, again, competition coming from within me. Means nothing. I don't get a medal out of it or anything like that. That's just something that's internally driven to me to say, I'm going to outdo these other sports today. And the funny thing is, I know that none of these kids were going to be playing because there's not a club in their area. That was actually some bad planning on...
right.
Well, there's no point us going to these schools because there's not a club nearby. There's no coach nearby. Or they had a club nearby, but the coach that ran the club was not engaging, or... they're going to be on a downer because they've just had an awesome session from me going, oh my God, this sport's awesome. And then I know they're going to that coach who is not very engaging. And then the kids are just going to go, well, this isn't as fun what it was at school. Which is also, but I was aware of all those little things when I was doing that. But yeah, it's one of the things that I try and pride myself on is to make sure that it doesn't matter what age you are, whether I'm doing 11-year-old school kids that are doing it for the first time, or if I'm coaching national team players that have been playing for their national team for the last 20 years, my job is to, A, make sure they're having a good time, and B, make sure that they're continuously learning. But the funny thing that they don't realise is that I also learn from them. You never stop learning. People think that I have all the answers. It's like, I have most of them. I don't have all of them. But guess what? The ones that I don't know, I have lots of friends. And I'll go and ask those friends. I don't know everything about pitching, but guess what? Manny and I are good friends. Manny's been a pitcher for many, many years. So if I've got anything to ask, hey, Manny, go and answer this question. Don't get me wrong, I'll get in there and pitch for a team. Well, you've seen me do it this year. The results aren't sometimes as what they want to be, but Manny's a proper pitcher. I'm just a part-time pitcher that would get in there and do it.
You throw strikes.
That's what I told him. I said, I can throw strikes. I can also catch as well. I have no problem getting in there and playing catcher, but I'm not a proper catcher.
Right.
It's just one of those ones where if you can do it,
Just
go
learn.
and do it.
Evolve in the game.
If there's someone better, you go and do it.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah, don't talk about it, just do it. There's again, there he is.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Then again, the 4-year program, I find that very exciting, interesting. As you well know, I do the girls under 12 bij Alkmaria, and we are in the 3rd year now. So I have my vision on 4 years. Do you mind explaining to us and the young listeners and coaches to be at home, what is the 4-year program? What was your vision?
Yeah, so, well, I'm done now, so I've got no vision.
Start off with the beginning. No, but you've executed your vision.
Yeah, so in 2015, when I first came here, you've got a plan. Like, everything you're doing is you're planning, but it's like, all right, well, what are your goals? And they always talk about the SMART goals. And
make it measurable, stuff like that.
But the one that I got wrong, and I got this from a New Zealand guy. I went on this course, and this guy's a genius. He's an absolute. His name's David Neath. Shout out, Dave Neath. I hope you hear
shout
this.
out. We'll tag you on Facebook as well.
Follow that guy. He is a legend. And I remember him saying in the SMART goals, the R. Do you remember what the R stands for?
Nope.
Realistic.
Oh yeah.
He's the one that come and said, actually, that's wrong. And I'm like, what? And he's like, no, you got to put a UN in front of it. I'm like, UN? Unrealistic? And he's like, yeah. He's like, you got to reach for the stars. He's like, you got to sit there and just, go crazy with your dream. Well, sort of like going back to the dreams and whatnot. Well, not being heavyweight champion of the world in boxing because I'll get knocked out. But, anything that you think you can achieve.
Train like a champion.
Yeah, so it sort of came around. Well, hold on, I'm backtracking here. So for this year, my unrealistic goal was like, hey, let's put the men's team together. Let's enter everything. Let's try and win the Premier Cup, the men's and the women's. No one's ever done it before. Sounds unrealistic. Let's have a crack at it. Yeah. So, that's where the idea came from last year. But in terms of the 4-year plan, you could also trade that for succession planning. So each year you're trying to work out how we're going to do it, but then you're also planning for you not being there or certain players not being there. So as long as I'm assuming that you've already had the conversations with the parents and the kids to say, hey, you're going to be at Alkmaar or whatever your club is at Olympia. You're going to be here for the next 3-4 years because if you plan on being there, then you know what you got to work with, and then you know what pace you need to go. But if you've only got them for 1 year and you want to try and teach them, then you may end up rushing yourself, trying to teach them everything. But sometimes when you try and teach them everything, you end up learning nothing because you're rushing yourself. But if you know that you got them for 4 years, you've got them for 6 months, times 4 weeks, times 2 sessions, you got them for like 100 sessions a year. My philosophy is you teach 1 skill, 1 drill, and 1 rule per session. That's 100 skills, 100 drills, and 100 rules they learn in the game. You times that by 2, 3, 4 years, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot about the game. And then that way you can just chip away at it. You can't give them everything at once because your learning can only handle so much. And when you're a kid, you don't want to be spoken to for too long. You just want to keep playing. But you've got to somehow, I don't like this word, but it's sort of what you do. You manipulate them. You manipulate them into how they learn and say, all right, well, this is the rule. And then you go and train the rule. And a lot of it's just basic stuff like, bunting, where you go on a bunt and, who's moving where and how and why. And, but the main thing is that you have that plan. And the most important part of your 4-year plan, which is also known as succession planning, is being able to change it. That's the biggest thing I learned from Australian softball, not when I was younger, but later, is if when you're doing something and it's not working, be willing to change it. And that's where a lot of the skill comes, because that's where you've got to feel it. You've got to, you can do it by asking the hard questions directly, but sometimes you don't get the honest answers back, but you need to be able to feel it, whether a kid's feeling it or whether a parent's feeling it. And that's another big lesson I learned. Is you got to make sure that you speak not just to the kids, but to the parents as well. All right. Because sometimes the kids and the parents don't even match up with what they want. It's very weird, but I've got some interesting tales.
I got examples by the lot.
Yeah, but Wes, you're training under 12, and that's a different ball game with grown-ups. But it's not a different ball game with grown-ups, or
no, it is. It is. But the thing with the grown-up can tell you. Yeah. An 11, 12-year-old.
But you still have to deal with the parents?
Yeah, I'll give you my best example that I had. And this is what set me on my path forever. It was in Denmark. I was coaching pretty much every team at Gladsaxe. This was the year before Manny got there, I think. And then when we had ambition to be in the first division. And then I was coaching the under 12s, and this kid who was terrible. Couldn't catch a fly ball, used to cry every time they got out. And at the end of the year, the mum came up and thanked me. And, they give you bottles of wine or a 6-pack of beer or something as a thank you. And I remember going to the mother saying, oh, yeah, your son was scared of the ball at the beginning of the year. And, now they can catch half the balls and, they're coming along in leaps and bounds and they're good. And her face just recoiled and just looked at me strange. And I thought, oh, okay, what have I missed here? And then she said to me, she's like, oh, no. At the beginning of the year, he was one of the worst at English in his class. Now he's one of the best. So I'm like, are you kidding me? She only brought her son to the training sessions because I only spoke English. I couldn't speak Danish. So she wanted her son to be around someone that was constantly forcing her son to understand English. And here I am working my tail off to try and get this kid better at softball, and had some speed. The kid had speed, was just scared of the ball and, wasn't that great at hitting, and used to cry every single time they got out at first base. Used to run over to mum. And here I am going, oh, yeah. And the mum didn't really care about how good he got at softball. It was just like, he's caught up to the rest of the class in English because, like the Dutch, they're very good at English at a young age over there and they start learning, but he was behind at class.
That's a cool story.
I was like, what? So it made me realise, and I was only in my mid-20s at that stage going, it didn't matter how much I thought I was influencing or doing the right thing. It's like, hold on, I need to speak to all the parents here to say, why is your kid here?
Yeah.
Are they here to learn softball? Is it just a crash class so you can have 2 hours off and have some alone time? You know, and it's like, wow, you're surprised about the reasons why parents bring their kids up. You know, sometimes the kids don't like it. One of the other reasons was because it was the cheapest sport. Compared to handball and football and the other main sports they have, they're like going, oh no, this is the cheapest sport for my kid to do, and you're like, oh,
it's like a kiddie socializing and learning at the same time.
Yeah, it's crazy some of the reasons why the parents are bringing their kids to play your sport.
So that's a good one.
Yeah.
So you need to understand why the kid is on your team.
Ask both
by talking to the parents.
Not together.
Yeah.
Make sure it's separate. You don't ask them in front of mum and dad.
No.
You know, because sometimes you're like, do you actually like the sport? And they're like, not really. You're like, okay. Yeah. Then that's your job to get them to love the sport. Yeah. And because once you got the skills stay forever.
Yeah.
You know, even if you only played for 4 years, you know, to learn how to catch and throw a ball coming at your face at speed, it's not easy, or to hit, you know. And then you play 15 years later, you can tell someone that's had proper training, just the way they catch and throw a ball. You know, I haven't played for 20 years, boom, you're like, oh, you've played.
That's awesome, because I have an example on that. I have like a father of a colleague of mine. I think he's beginning 50. He is starting baseball with Alkmaria, and he haven't touched the ball for 20 years. That guy is hammering the balls in a batting cage, and that is so cool. When you see him catch and throw, it's a little bit stiff, but still, bang.
And then you go and ask him, it's like, oh yeah, I played
20 years ago
2 seasons as a pitcher in the 1978 hoof class for HCRV or something like that. You're like, oh yeah, okay.
So you never forget.
It's impressive to watch.
Yeah,
and then he has to ice his shoulder for the next 3 days.
That's something else.
We're woken up some muscles he probably shouldn't have.
Well.
So another question. First of all, you were a player, of course, but then again, you decided to be a coach. So what did you decide to be a coach?
I didn't really decide to be a coach. That's where people don't realize that I actually gave the game of softball away because I got softballed out, as what happens. And I used to play cricket when I was younger too. So when I was 11 years old, I gave away softball, played cricket for 2 years. I made representative teams in Sydney, but with the softball baseball upbringing, it doesn't help your cricket game. Helps with a couple of shots, but not the full range of shots. So I went back and forth between the two. And then when I went to Denmark, I was only going over there as a player. I knew I was playing for a second division team, but I didn't care. I was just going to having an excuse to go and see a country, go and live with some locals. I'd given away the game again at that point. I'd played another couple of years of cricket back in New Zealand. And when I got there, after 1 week, they looked at each other and went, you're a little bit too good for for this league. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not here. You're the club that accepted me. Here's a fun fact for you. I actually emailed, I don't remember which club it was, but I emailed a Dutch club as well. But the Dutch club says, oh, you must be here next week because the season starts next week.
Oh, yeah.
And then I says, no, I'm not coming over for a month. And they're like, oh, we're not interested then. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I says, listen, I can't be over for a month. Is that okay? And the Danish club said, yeah, that's fine. Just come when you can. We'll take any help we can get. So actually it was one of those, another sliding doors moment. I could actually have come here instead. But I ended up going over there. And then after a week, they sort of says, oh, listen, you're one of our best players. Will you coach us? And I'm like, I only just came here to play. And then I sort of seen what they did for training. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll just... And because obviously my dad was a coach, I just had to go in my head and go, all right, I'll just do what a dad used to do. And then I just used to do what he did and put in a bit of my own flavour in there. And then I ended up helping out with the women's team. And then we put in some juniors and ran one of these summer activity things, and then all the kids signed up, and the club just started.
There's this cool Kiwi guy.
One of those sort of things. And then I sort of thought about it, went, oh, we've got 3 decent players here, and the women's team's not too bad, but they just didn't have coaching. And the funny thing was, what Manny was talking about before is word got round, and the Allerode Penguins with Martin Holmberg and Sam Woodcock and Steve McFarlane, they came up to me and says, hey, will you come and coach our team next year? And that's the part that really started pulling my heartstrings, because they had a proper legit team. Like they were good.
Yeah.
And I was that was the first part that confused me, because I was like, hold on, I'm only in my mid-20s here. I've never really coached before, but word got round that, I must have known what I was doing or something, because I was just winging it at that stage.
You had some talent.
But I was still sort of more set on playing, but I'm also a very loyal person, and Gladsaxe Softball Club, took me in. They'd treated me right. And then I thought, well, you know what? How about I do this the other way? I'm going to take this team. We're going to go in the first division and play against the Penguins. But we were nowhere near as good as them. So I actually that's when I called my father up. And my dad had just sort of recently retired, sort of. And I said, listen, what are you doing next summer? There's this really good team over here. They're looking for a coach. I says, they've asked me, but I'd prefer to stay with Gladsaxe. And I says, well, how about you do this? You come and play for my team in the first division, because we needed extra players, and he was still young enough to help the team out. And he brought over my younger brother, Zach, as well. And then he would go and coach Penguins, and I'd coach Gladsaxe. We only won like 3 games all season, and Penguins, I think, made their equivalent of the Holland Series final and lost it. The funny thing that happened, though, and the only bit that annoyed me, it wasn't really an annoyance, but they won the European Cup. That was the one that was at EHS Bulldogs, I think. So he won the cup, but they all went out and partied, left the cup behind. And remember when the clubhout burnt down?
Yeah.
Unfortunately. They left the trophy in the clubhouse, so they never got the trophy.
For real?
Yeah, so the trophy's lost forever. But he basically went 1 for 1, went to 1 European Cup and won 1. And but I stayed loyal to my club and won hardly any games. But you know what? I still have no regrets in that department, because I love Gladsaxe Softball Club. I've always been a one-club man, no matter what country I went to, which is very rare, I guess, these days. I have no qualms of other people doing it. It's each to their own, but it's just something I like to try and pride myself on.
So why is that?
Is it karma?
It's just something that's... my dad hasn't instilled it in me. Oh, maybe he has. I don't really know the reason why. I've just always been a loyal person. Growing
I think that loyalty is accomplished by sticking for one club.
If they treat me right, then if I have no reason to go anywhere else,
all right,
then I won't. I'd rather sit there and go through the tough times, or try and build something, or it's just something personal within myself that I've always wanted to do. I have no idea why. Maybe
it's maybe because it's keeping it simple as well, not difficult like.
Yeah, well, if there was a time for me to do it, it would have been to go to Penguins, and well, maybe I wouldn't have won it with them. Maybe I would have made a coaching mistake being so young. If I had you never know, So it's one of those things that didn't happen. Stayed with Gladsaxe.
I think it's awesome, because what I can tell right now at a lot of clubs, there's a lot of switches going out, because they're all like in the same group of people. And, you play there for 4 years, you play there, doesn't matter, you go to the other team. I think we miss real loyal people and loyal teams. We had a couple guests before you on the podcast, on the Coach Ball podcast. And one of the guys was Peter Koelemij. And he was an old school coach from Haarlem as well. And he did a lot of training, and he started off young as well. And he told us that he really miss teams on the field right now that are built on friendship. Guys who are playing like 10 years together, 12 years together, and they are not the best at the sport, but they are the best team. And teams win games, And that's what I kind of missed in the last couple of years playing in the hoofdklasse. Everybody was a little bit occupied by winning a trophy, and I was just out trying to play ball, have fun with the team. And I can see that in you as well.
Yeah, and I guess that's why I was a little bit sad after Holland Series this year, because there was only 3 original members of the team when I first came here in 2015. Mariella Vlogels, Brenda Beers, and Rachel Von Veen. Rachel and Mariella are finishing. Gave 8 years service. For your sporting career, that's a long time, 8 years service. And Brenda Beers continues. So Brenda's in her 9th year at the club. So we talk about friends that are staying together.
Loyal.
Yeah, loyal. And that's the part that pulls at my heartstrings, because I just love seeing them stay at the club for so long.
To be quite funny, actually, I have a funny story, because Brenda is from Alkmaar as well.
Yes.
And Jessie as well. And when they were I think at the beginning of the ladies with Alkmaria, so they probably were like 17, 18, 19 years old, some of that. I did the pitching training with her, with the girls.
With Jessie.
Yeah, with Jessie, and she was throwing bombs,
She can throw bullets, man.
At that time, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, but I think they threw harder than I did at that point. But and Brenda was catching awesome. You could see the talent already.
Oh, look.
And it was so cool that actually when the training was over, I could actually ask Brenda, hey, Brenda, can I throw a couple of balls on you? Can I throw a couple of pitches? And she was like, yeah, sure.
That's how they get better, though, as well.
Man.
Having the likes of yourself pitching to them, getting used to just having 60, 65, 70 miles per hour throwing consistently. Yeah. But where's she from, Brenda? Egmont-on-Sea or something like that? Yeah. Somewhere on the west coast out there. Right. Yeah. But we got lucky when her and Rachel transferred, and they transferred late. And I think that was through Sandra Hovener.
Also a great coach.
Yeah. So, she assistant coached with me at 1 season, 2 seasons, and I was in shock.
We're talking about Sandra Hovener.
Yeah, and I was surprised. You want to get her on this podcast?
Yeah, we're trying.
Yeah,
we're trying. We had contact yesterday, and
definitely.
She said, "Well, let me think a bit."
She's coaching the Herons under 12 and also Pirates, I guess.
All right.
And
shout out to Sandra.
Yeah. Well, I did her winter school. I did her winter school because of her, because she assistant coached here. And like I said, I'm loyal. So if you help me, I'm going to help you. I'm like, well, what are you doing? She's like, I'm staying here this winter, so I went and helped there. And there's lots of talent.
Yeah.
Here Hogevaart or whatever it's called up there.
Yeah.
True. I played the Herons.
The Herons, the black and yellow team.
We play them in our competition, and they're good. They're really good. And it starts off, because then we go to a little bit of coaching already, because they're under 12, and they are that team is a season further away than my team. So after like last year, we played them, and we could actually tell that we weren't gonna beat them. They were too good. But then again, talking about a friendships team, you can have all the best players in the world, but if you have like a team of girls who's willing to go the extra mile with you, we caught up, and we had these close games. And then in the end, we actually tied a game, and we celebrated like a victory, And you can tell the difference, because Sandra is really into the basics, the perfect basics. Pass ball, go to take your extra base. Get off the base after a pitch. Fly ball, look where you're going to stand. You're going to go all the way, you're going to stay at your base. And she's so good at that.
Yeah, so I never got to see Sandra play, but I heard so many good things. Oh, yeah. But then I found out that it was a lie, that I actually did get to see her play. When I first moved to New Zealand in 94, I think it was, the Dutch women's team,
national team,
toured New Zealand. She was in that team. They played at my fields at North Harbour Stadium. She would have been young. But I got one of the balls from that game. Cool. So it was Netherlands versus North Harbour, I think it was. But we had Gina Webber, I think, playing for North Harbour at that time. But so when she came to coach at Olympia, and we just, you're just chatting away, and she's like, I've been to New Zealand. I'm like, oh, what year? I was like, oh, and then she says, we toured here. I was like, I was at that game. And she's like, no way. I was like, yeah. So
small world.
It's a small world. It's one of those things where it's a small world.
Maybe it's an idea, because we just talked about Jessie, that we are going to bring her in. Because we have her here. This is Jessie van Haalst.
Jessie is a long-time player of Olympia Haarlem. She has already played more than 400 games on top level in Holland.
Last year she was also my teammate, and she has a question.
Hi Stan, thank you for all the coaching work you did for Olympia the past seasons. I do have a question for you. Of all the trick plays you have in your mind, which one is your favorite, and when and how were you able to use it? Cheers!
That's a good question.
Trick plays.
I'm looking forward for the answer.
We have quite a few. I try and teach one or two as a rule each year. Remember, I said one skill, one drill. I try and do that every training session, even subconsciously. I don't tell the girls what we're doing. You just put it in there, and they eventually get it. I didn't do any this year. For the first time ever, I had them. I wrote them out, but we didn't do any. I think because we had a couple of young ones, and it does require a lot of work, a lot of brains, and I wanted to go back to Sandra. I wanted to concentrate a bit more on basics for a lot more of the squad. But to answer the question, ironically, it was what we were talking before we went on air. The first and third, and the girls know this one. The one that you were talking to me, if you did it to the senior girls, the ones that have been at Olympia a long time, they will laugh. If you were to coach them on Tuesday and says, "All right, we're going to do this," Brenda, Jessie, Mari's finished now. Rachel, they know how to do it, what to do, because they've already been skilled up on it.
Explain.
So
what's the trick?
When you have runners on first and third, it was a men's play that was done about 20 years ago. Any old men's players will know it. I don't know if the younger generation will, but they used to, if they knew that they couldn't be thrown out at 2 in a first and third situation, runner on 1, stealing 2, to try and score that runner on 3, what they'd get the runner on 1 to do is instead of running to second base, they'd just go out and start running onto the grass.
Yeah.
And aim towards the centre fielder. And if the throw does... Yeah, I'm looking at you, radio. You're like, what? We didn't do this with the men's team. Anthony Bowman will know it. He'll know this one.
Yeah, all right. We explained before broadcast this one.
When you go out there and you just run out, and sometimes they don't even bother trying to get you out at 2, but if they do throw the ball to 2, then you just sit there and look at them. And then, because they have to make a play on you, and you have the right to sort of like stay and sit there. But if you do make a move, the rule is that as long as you're making an effort to go either to second base or back to first, then that's it. You have the 1 meter, 1 yard play, you know, to avoid a tag. But unless there's a play being made on you, you can run wherever you want. You can run all the way to the right field pole if you want to. It doesn't matter. You can run wherever you want in the game of softball. Of course, it's not advised because a good team will tag you out. But if you're playing against even a decent level team, there's some teams that just don't want to mess with your speed. If you've got 2 absolute speedsters where they're like, no, give up the base, then that's it. You put that runner out there. We talked about Stephen McFarlane before. He taught the Penguins how to do it. And actually, my Gladsaxer team was not quite good enough with our infield to be able to... It wasn't worth try and combat it. Better off just concentrating on the next batter. And you could do that. You could often do that if you had a weaker batter coming up and you're trying to force the play out in the field. But you train that. Runners on 1 and 3, the runner on 1 running out onto the grass and just hanging out there. And if no play's being made, then you just slowly walk to second. But if there's a crowd there, your team's basically being punked. It's sort of being disrespectful without being disrespectful, saying your team is not good enough to defend our running game.
All right.
But that's that one. But another one of my favourites for the juniors, for the under 12s and under 13s,
give it to me.
Listen up.
teaching them how to steal home, making sure that they're keeping an eye on the pitcher and catcher, and if the catcher's not paying attention to them, learning how, and they do it in baseball all the time, but at softball it's a little bit harder because you have to make a decision to get back to your base every single pitch. But teaching those kids, when you teach the kids, especially because you're there and you can manage it, but you're sort of like teaching them, they think they're being sneaky. And then, you know what, actually, you should try and, especially the speedsters, you should send them home, and even if they get tagged out at home so they can work out what their boundaries are. But as long as you plan ahead and tell them, say, listen, you're probably going to get thrown out here, but it's okay. We're going to have a go. Because if you say that, we're going to try and be sneaky and they get tagged out, then they, can sometimes cry or, my coach got me thrown out. I worked hard to get to third base here. But if you tell them like, listen, you're probably going to get out, but let's have a go. Let's have some fun here. And they get tagged out. And imagine if they make it. If they make it, how happy they're going to be. But if it's close, they're like, whoa, that was close. That was so cool. That was fun to try. And if they succeed, but it's also a genuine thing to try. Because if you've got, one of your kids there that's their first season and they've had like 20 strikeouts and you know that they're probably not going to hit safely, and it's one of your cheeky kids that can do it, it's a legitimate option of trying to score that run, if it's a close game.
She's going to go home very happy.
And not only that, the whole team's watching. And then when you do it at training, you go and train it again and train properly, show them what you're looking for. And you just flick that switch in their head to go, hey, there's lots of sneaky stuff you can do in this game. It's one of the things that New Zealand softball's been good at over the years, especially in men's. The women's got brains, but the athletic ability's gone down over the years with the women's because a lot of that's our best athletes getting lost to rugby and rugby league and netball, other sports that are paying better in New Zealand. But we do have a lot of smart ball players in New Zealand.
I actually find the trick plays awesome for the kids just to keep it exciting.
Well, they're fun to learn. So even with the seniors, like with the Olympia women's team, it's good fun to do a new one because it takes a while. The reason why I don't like spending too much time on it because A, they're hard to do, and B, it's such a low percentage play. Like I don't want to spend a lot of time on a play that you're only going to use 1, 2, 3% of the time, and out of that percentage using it, it's still got a low percentage of working. But sometimes people want to work on them because they're sexy, cool plays to do. But I don't want to spend too much time on it. But it's good for them to know. Because, it's...
Bend the rules. Think outside the box.
Think outside the box.
Do different
it's legal.
things.
Yeah, do it different.
Yeah.
Now, there's some that I didn't teach the girls this year.
Cool.
That
Good
I wanted
question.
to, but yeah,
That was an
it's good
awesome
fun.
question, Jesse. Awesome.
Cool. Yeah. And we got another friend of ours, Anthony Beaumont. This is Anthony Beaumont,
One of the experienced players in the Dutch national team.
player of Olympia Haarlem,
Yep. And longtime player of Alkmaar Victrix.
and our friend as well.
Yep.
He has a question.
Hey, Rijntje.
Goedenavond, welkom hier bij Coachbal, Ento. Komt het uit?
Hey, goed. Zeker, zeker.
Alright,
Zit je er klaar voor, Ento?
I'm ready.
alright.
Netjes. Nou, je weet wie onze gast is, hè, vanavond.
Ik weet wie jullie gast is. Dat is onze succescoach.
Ja. Daar gaan we het even over hebben.
Alright, we ask you to prepare some questions or one question for Stanley. So, let's hit it.
Yeah, I have one question. Stan, you have been pretty successful with adults and also with ladies and men. So, yeah, I guess you know how to coach. But what's the biggest difference, and what would be the biggest difference coaching adults versus kids?
That's a good one. We already talked a little bit about that one.
Yes, actually, we mentioned it earlier,
But
and
we didn't get into the specifics of that.
yeah. So first and foremost is don't go ahead until you know the kid and the parent. So you've got to make sure that you work out what the parents want out of you first, and then also separately find out the kids. Look, do you really want what dad wants, or do you really want what mum wants? And the other thing is you just got to make sure you really, well, we say keep it simple at the adults. If we're saying keep it simple at the adults, then you've got to really keep it simple with the kids as well. Again, what I was talking about before, one skill, one drill.
Yep.
One skill, one drill. Every training session, one skill, one drill, one rule. As long as I hit those with the kids, then that's it. They're learning.
Yeah.
And then the main thing is once I'm finished with that, assuming that like a session is for 1 hour, making sure you revisit it for the 1 minute before you start practice. So whatever you covered that day, make sure that the first minute or 2 minutes is reinforcing whatever rule or skill that you taught them. And then after that, it's up to them what they spend in their own time, because they're not going to get good just from their 1 hour coaching session. And that's why the kids that have parents that play are just so much better, because they get to sit there and throw it home. They also get to discuss it after games. They get to discuss, how, what did I do? How well did I do? So they have advantages in that regard. So another thing that I used to make sure that I did is I knew which parents did play. So the ones that did play, you knew that they had extra help when they went home, so they didn't need your attention as much. They're more probably criticizing and analyzing the coach than anything, but then making sure that I spend that extra time on the kids that don't have parents that play.
That's a good one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you. That's a nice answer. I think a nice answer for whole Holland to learn from also.
Yeah, you have to identify. No, well, information and knowledge is everything. The more information and knowledge you have into not the private lives, but of the parents, and also they may be good at another sport. Some of them may have been a former really good football player. I'm pretty sure, isn't it Brett Vonk's dad? Wasn't he like a professional footballer from back in the day and stuff like that? Because I don't know why I know information like this, because I even delve in. So when I was with the national team, I sort of look in and I want to know, the national team, what do their parents do? What were they good at? And then, I just do it from asking, so I know stuff about players that haven't even played for me, because you just sit there and try and work out what makes them tick, what makes them work, what do they have their knowledge on, why are they such ballers? There's loads of different reasons why, the way they are, or if they get nervous before games, you got to find out the reasons why. And that's from asking a lot of questions without trying to seem too intrusive.
We can do that.
Yeah, as coaches, we ask, of course, a lot of questions. But then again, do you also have to ask parents from grown-ups a lot of questions as well? Or does the grown-ups should suit it for themselves?
No. You have to do that. It's up to you to go and extract that information. But also, it's the setting and environment that you do it in as well. What works for me? Yeah, well, you guys know. Yeah. I like having a beer. So most of my work's done at the bar. All our work is coaches, and we have a pretty big coaching staff at Olympia with the women's team. You know, all our planning is done, you know, around a jug of beer. Once the girls all go home, you know, they've got their 1 hour, not 9 hours to go home. But we would spend half an hour, sometimes 2 hours, you know, planning, preparing, how we're going to do things, updating each other. You know, 'cause sometimes, I'm not at training next week. I've got this to go to, or I've got this part, you know, this player's not going to be here. And another thing I used to do with our team is I wasn't in charge of all the girls. The girls got to choose who their favourite coach was. It's like, just let a coach know, and then the coach will come and speak to us. I think with the men's team, we had a leadership group. Yeah. That's why I said, go and speak to your team captain of your position.
Communication.
Well, because I don't want to deal with 14 different people's lives. You know, I only want to deal with, you know, whatever the problems are through the leadership group, and then that sort of divides my time up by 4. Yep. Whereas if I try to do it all myself, it's not possible. And that's another thing that youth coaches need to work out as well. If you do have that parent that does know, you know, how to play, ask. You don't have to say, hey, I need help. There's a different way of saying it. It's like going, hey, if you do have some spare time, whatever time they can give, they say, oh, no, I'm busy with work. I says, oh, but I could do 3 sessions a year. Take it.
Perfect.
If that's 3 hours of listening to a different voice, or if they're a specialist, a shortstop or a catcher, or they do something that you can't, you got to tap into it. But again, you just got to know and ask and keep your ears open.
Good answer.
It's your ears, man. You got to keep your ears open at all times.
All right. Well, thanks. And thanks a lot, Ento. A question for you, Ento. Can we call you another time?
Of course you can.
All right. Watch out, because we will do.
Awesome.
Can I call you Anto?
No problem.
It's not one of those numbers where I have to pay
podcast,
I don't have to pay €2 per minute to speak to you, do I?
The bill will come later.
Okay, sweet.
All right. Thanks. Have a nice evening. Ciao.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ciao.
Bye.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
That's awesome. That's a good answer as well. It had like 3 different answers in one.
Yeah.
What I pick out is just try to get the extra help. Divide your time by making more people important in your team.
Yes.
And make sure you have your planning right for the next week. Is that a little bit of the...
exactly it.
Perfect.
And players tend to have favourite. Like when you're running the Olympia women's team, we have, 4 or 5 coaches, and team manager. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the girls like the team manager. They don't like any of the coaches. So if they don't like any of the coaches and they've got no one to go to, they might just bottle something up. But like Lars is our team manager, and he's been there a long time. But, you know, sometimes the girls would like to speak to Lars more than what they will myself or Manny or Niels, or, you know, it just depends. And that's why it's important to try and have a female in your coaching group, not just males. You look at some of the other coaching groups, they have nothing but males.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's some women things that happen that only women can deal with.
You don't want to know.
Yeah, that's why I always try and have a female member of staff in the group, minimum 1.
Yeah. But I think also with the boys team, a female crew member can help a lot.
I can actually relate to that, because I have made 2 of my girls captain. Not 1. I made 2 captain because the same reason. You might not like one, so you can go to the other. And I gave them both a job. One is doing the warm-up, and it's the dynamic warm-up, you know, just to keep it simple. And the other one is, how do you say that? Thinking about one drill to do. And they do the warm-up. I'm preparing the materials, and I'm watching the group. You can see who's good today, who's tired. And so you don't have to worry about personal issues, but make them important and make sure you don't have to deal with everybody yourself.
It's a double whammy.
Yeah.
It's 1, they get to feel important, and they should. But 2, it lessens your workload. So even with the juniors, I'd even go one step further than that, and I'd give them the lineup board and then combine them together and say, this is the thing you do today. It's like, give me your lineup.
Yeah.
Say, you know, put a lineup together. And actually, I do it with my teams. You notice, did I do it with you guys?
Yeah.
I say, give me your finals team at the end of the year. So I give them all a sheet of paper, and I say, hey, if we're all playing Holland Series tomorrow, give me your winning line. Well, actually, I ask them to do me 2. I say, put one where you have to be in it, and give me a second one where you're not allowed to be in it.
That's cool.
And we do that at the beginning of the year, like after the first or second training session. But you know how much that helps me? Mm-hmm. It allows me to know what the players are all thinking. And I keep them all, because there's always someone that's close. It's fun to work with. Yeah, and because you don't know what it's going to look like at the end of the year. There could be injuries or, someone's in form, out of form. But there's always one that's either bang on or very, very close.
Nice.
And then I have to go, all right, who's this one? I think it was one year Rachel Van Veen got it spot on. Yeah, it's kind of funny. But it gives us information to what the players are thinking about who should be playing where and how.
But for me as a player, I thought it was really difficult because then you had to compare yourself in a realistic way to other players in your team. It was really hard.
But it brings some realism to it as well, to sit there and having to rank yourself amongst the team. That's why I get 2. Because it makes it easier when you have to put yourself in and when you have to put in. One should be hard and one should be slightly easier. That's
a cool one. I think I'm going to do that next year.
And you know what the other thing it does? Teaches the juniors, the 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds, how to write a lineup. At a young age.
Yeah, think about it.
Yeah, I get them knowing. You have the pieces of paper and you make them all write it. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, what's left field? Oh, that's number 7. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, no, but it starts teaching them, what the numbers are and the positions and, it's not too young to start teaching them how to be a coach and what the numbers mean and,
Well, that's what I told, we were talking about before we started the podcast. And last tournament I played with the under 12. I made this box with 9... with the numbers on it of each position, It's they had to pick one. So I had a completely different lineup every inning. And man, oh man, the questions I've got. Where's number 3? I have number 4. Where is that? Number 7, is it the left or the right field? And I was like, oh my God, it's on the board. So I put on the board and I could actually see where I have to be. And if you can imagine everybody going out on the field and the board hanging there, it was the opposite way.
Oh,
so they were all, "Hey, I'm here." No, what are you doing? It was hilarious.
But the thing is, eventually they'll get it right. Yeah. You do it a second time and a third time, and one of the things I've pride myself at being in Olympia is, like I said, we keep a lot of it simple in what we do. Is for the first half hour, 40 minutes, the coaches, we can sit there and say nothing. We do a little bit of team talk at the beginning, and they go off. And you would have experienced it with the men's, how we just do the same thing and then don't see them for half an hour. And they know the first half hour of the warm-up and just go through it. The thing that annoyed me sometimes is them knowing when to chime in, because once they've done their warm-up, some of them would go off and sit off and do nothing. But I was training them up like, no, be a good teammate, divide them in 2 and hit to each other and stuff like that. And, that's the part we have to coach, to train them how to be a good teammate and help one another out. But, in terms of the juniors, they're only as dumb as we treat them. If you're willing to train them up, you can train them up as early as possible as you want. Yeah. And then you can go even further where, like, okay, if there's games that don't mean anything, hey, you go coach third. Yeah. You coach third, you coach first. Coaches just got to sit here in the dugout and hang out with the players. And I'd even do that a couple of times this year. I put Niels Meeker, he'd go and coach third base. I'd just sit in there and do nothing. He'd go coach the men's team at third base as well. Because you need to, we call it time in the saddle. You need time in the saddle at some point to... and the thing is, if you've never done it before, and you can tell Niels was excited to be in there, he's like going, whoa, because, you're the head coach now, you're the man. And then you sort of forget little things like that. You don't want to take it for granted. Then when you sit there and you see Niels having so much fun, you're like, oh, okay, better go back, take over now. He's having too much fun out there.
That's cool. Good answer. You're a professional coach, yeah?
Professional, yeah. Well... I'm not. It's not like football where you're earning mega amounts of money. But have I been doing this for the last 20 years? This is what I've been doing for the last 20 years.
Right, okay.
Like I said, I had to take a huge pay cut when I left Great Britain softball. When I was at Great Britain, when I was in Denmark, I was on back in New Zealand. I was on a proper wage coaching softball. Yeah. But that usually entails either coaching multiple teams or going out into the schools here and there.
All right.
Lots of different things that come with it. Whereas here, I've been fortunate enough to have made enough money where I can just look after Olympia. Yeah, and enjoy my time. But it's another reason why I've got to get back to New Zealand so I can start earning proper money again.
So talking about time, so how do you spend like a day as a coach here in Olympia? Describe a typical day, please.
I spend most of my time relaxing during the day. I love having spare time. So, watch my Netflix. I watch a lot of other sports. So I'll watch NFL, NCAA, different college sports, catch up with my rugby in New Zealand, cricket. So there's so much sport going on worldwide. Mm-hmm. I could easily sit at the pub and watch sport for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. But, obviously can't drink for that much. So, but I can sit at home, rugged up and watch it. So I'm a very big sports enthusiast.
All right.
Enthusiast,
So it's also like a hobby for you.
Yes, yeah. And there's lots of other sports I did play as well. So I didn't just play softball. I also played rugby league growing up, a bit of rugby union, Aussie rules football, touch, indoor cricket. There's so many other sports that I used to play growing up, especially when I was 18, 19, 20, 21. Every day it was just spent doing sport. And I didn't have as much spare time as what people think here because I took on the men's team as well this year. Monday night training, Tuesday training, Thursday training, Friday game day, Saturday game day. So plus the planning that goes with it to do it properly, you get exhausted. And there were not once but twice this year where I was very tired. So you'd think, how can you get tired when you know? And I don't have to do it 9 to 5.
No, but the hours are differently.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're always
Responsibility as well.
Yeah, and you
Well, the players, any question that a player has, there's 13 in the men's team, 16 in the women's, plus the coaching staff and the board, and you got to, look after everything, make sure it's all right, planning for the Premier Cup, trying to get the men's team to the European Cup next year as well. So, there's... People don't realise how much there is, plus other players that want to play in New Zealand or, inquiring about coming to Olympia next year. It's the head coach that has to have all those conversations, and there's so many conversations to have. That's one thing I'm not going to miss. I'm not going to miss the many, many conversations that are needed.
Sorry for this podcast here. Yeah.
Well, no, this is the part that I love because it's something a little bit new. And, I've done some interviews with Cobus and some back in New Zealand, and it's just good fun to, help your new podcast that you're setting up, which I remember you talking about it earlier this year, and I was excited for you going, do it. Well, just go and do it. Don't talk about it.
It is really fun.
That's what I learned, so that's what I did.
To meet new people.
And it's only going to get bigger and better as you get, this is your third one, you said? Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Once you get 15, 16, 17, you know your system and what you're doing, and get some bigger names than me on here. That won't be hard. But,
I don't think we're going to get a bigger name who became champion with the ladies and champion with the men in one season.
Yeah.
National champions.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Applause as well. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I
On the
look
last
forward...
podcast, you had this very nice...
Yeah, the soundboard.
The soundboard with him.
Oh.
There it is. Yeah, Stanley.
Yeah.
But
I look forward to the day that someone does do it. Well, I don't know who the next coach is that is able to do it. Well, because for starters, you have to be able to be willing to take on 2 teams. But that was one of the reasons why I did do it, because I was like...
It's insane. Nobody's going to do it anymore.
You never say never. It's just it's one thing to try and do it, but it's like having the capability to do it.
Hey Wes, heb jij nog een nieuwe handschoen nodig?
Nou, sterker nog, ik zit even op een hele mooie website van keystonesports.nl te kijken. En daar staan wel een paar mooie exemplaartjes tussen.
Pro-tip van mij, bel eventjes als namelijk die handschoen er niet meer is. Want ze gaan als warme broodjes over de toonbank. Dan
krijg je Nick of Morgan aan de lijn. En die kunnen jou perfect van goed advies voorzien.
Als je korting wil, ga naar... Hoe heet die website?
keystonesports.nl
/coachbal. Als je dan daar een 404 op krijgt, dan weet je dat ze ons nog niet sponsoren.
Oh, maar dat gaat gauw geregeld worden.
Ik hoop het.
Nick, bellen.
Bel ons, Nick. Dag.
Doei.
Yeah, so this was a kind of a highlight of your life, I guess. But what is the biggest accomplishment that you had in your sports career for now?
It's a good one.
Non-softball wise is playing for my country in Aussie rules. That's another sport I used to play, Aussie rules. And when I moved to country New South Wales, I used to grow up playing rugby league, but then I also played Aussie rules. And
I'm sorry, you have to explain.
It's a bit similar to Gaelic football, where but we play with a rugby ball, and I'm not going to explain the sport too much.
Right.
Google it, just Google AFL,
right.
Australian rules football. But it's a sport that I used to play a lot. It's a pretty tough sport to play. I didn't deal out any of the damage. I was the one that had the damage done to me, but I was a skill player. So long as I could take the hits, then eventually you get to enjoy it afterwards. So that was a big highlight. Softball wise, probably coaching in a men's and women's World Series. So had the opportunity to coach Great Britain with the men in 2013. And also had the opportunity to go with the Dutch women in 2016. So to be able to go to both a men's and a women's World Series is pretty cool. Get to experience it's...
And for New Zealand, you did the under 23?
Yeah, I was the head coach of the under 23s for a couple of years. We went to the Canada Cup, and obviously with COVID, we were restricted. And then I got asked to jump on board to be the assistant coach of the women's team and to go to the Olympic qualifier with them in Asia. So that was another highlight.
Yeah.
And we were a lot closer to qualifying than what people realised. But I only was with them for like 3-4 months, and we took on an Australian pitching coach, Kelly Hardy, and we just had a really good crack at it. But we didn't have much time together, and I would have loved to have maybe been there. Well, you can't. I would have loved to have been there a year earlier.
All right.
It's just ironic because I thought I would have been, after 2016 with the Dutch team, I thought I would have been going with an Olympic campaign with the Dutch national team, but then that all just got thrown out the year after. That coaching unit got broken up for, I don't know, I still don't know the reason why to this day. But yeah, so to be given a late opportunity to go with the New Zealand team, I was like, this is weird because, how quick time can change.
Is that still something you admire or willing to do in the future? Is that one of your goals, going back to New Zealand, trying to get into the head squad?
They interviewed me for it. So after the head coach stood down from the Olympic, they interviewed myself and Roman Gabriel for it, and Roman got it. It was actually the first bit of rejection that I'd had, or the first thing I'd lost in so many years. It was actually good to feel human again, because I was just so used to being told yes for everything that I went for, and actually be told no. But I actually didn't mind either, because I knew that it'd be another commitment for another 2, 3, 4, 5 year cycle. And then Miriam actually rang me up after I just got declined like a week later to say, hey, can you please come back and coach here? And with the Loldians visa declining, then I was like, okay, well, yeah, the opportunity is there to come back. And I never do anything twice. This is the first time that I've ever come back to something and push the repeat button. So that was new in itself, pushing the repeat button. And you're always wary about when you leave the club in such good stead and in such a good position, where in 2018 that team that we had, and where we, the things that we were winning was
you're champion with that team, right?
Yeah, in 2017-18. So for me personally, this is 4 years in a row winning the Holland series.
That's awesome.
Because I left. So for me personally, it's 4 years in a row. And I guess the freakish stat that I worked out the other day, one of the things that I am going to be proud of, as I think in 2015, I lost the Holland series to Peter Van Dalen. And then I think we've been in it's either 15, 16 or 17, maybe even 18, I don't know, finals. And we've won all of them in a row. Yeah, don't get me wrong, we've lost tournaments. We've come third and fourth, but whenever we've been in a final, the 15, 16 finals we've been in, we've won all of them.
That's amazing, man.
I had to check it because I was like...
You know what the first thing that comes in my mind now? It's mindset.
Yes.
Playing finals, what I was taught growing up in baseball, softball, is you need to learn how to win. That's a little small to say, but that's the mentality you need to win a final. And for me personally, I was never that great of a player to be able to actually own or dominate a final, but I was always one of the guys starting a final or whatever. And I can tell you one thing, the mindset was always good.
Yeah, and that's
you need to learn to win.
We spend time on that, and we do it from the beginning of the season. Actually, we speak to the girls and say, well, and I said to the men as well, this is what we want. Where do we want to be at the end of the season? And I told them, and I actually brought the girls' part into it. I says, I want us to be champions of the Premier Cup, and we want to win both, and we're trying to do something that's never been done before. But the guys knew right from the outset that that's the end goal, and what do we need to be. And I would constantly be updating them every other training session, where we're at, where we sit, what we have to do, what are the rules. This is what happens in final series. So no stone was left unturned. They knew. And some of the guys were like, let's just win everything. It's like, it doesn't work like that. It's like, you can't, you are going to get beat at times, or the games are going to be close.
Actually, it was mind-blowing, because every time, every training and every game, after the game, he know exactly what we're positioned about in the competition and what we had to do to accomplish a goal that we set. It was mind-blowing.
Well, it actually helps, if you have a proper coach and proper time. Because I understand that a lot of coaches are doing it for a couple hours a week. And I don't get it if you want to be committed to something. And maybe that's because we don't have wages for coaches in softball or youth to be, all in.
Yeah.
Most of the coaches in youth are a parent or somebody who used to play when he was younger and he wants to make a commitment. Like the podcast we had here before with Mike de Zwart and Peter Koelemey.
Yeah.
Those were guys who actually loved the game, loved the sport, went to a training, and they were both like, okay, well, I'm new in town. Can I help you guys out? I have a little bit of knowledge of the game. I am enthusiastic to teach. And that's how they came into the sport, you know. And if you have, like in your position, you have all the time in a day, and I understand that's still hard work in late hours, but if you have time to think about where you are, where you want to be, how to get there, what do I need, what is the plan? And if you can point that out for yourself and for your team, I think that is worth more than your wage in gold. You know?
100%. Yeah, you're 100% right. And I know the other coaches have 9 to 5 jobs, and then they have to go and do training for 2-3 hours. But it's another one of my sayings. That's not my problem.
True.
It's it's
a big advantage.
It's a huge advantage. Yeah. And there's no guarantees, but maybe that is the little bit of the edge that's needed to get you over the line. I have no idea. I don't know what the other teams are doing, so I can't comment. All I can do is just look at our record of what we've done over the body of work that we've had with the team, and look, at the end of the day, statistics don't lie over a long term. So if a hitter's hitting 400, a hitter's hitting 400. You can complain about 1 or 2 games, but when you have a 36-game season, you can't complain with a 120 batting average.
True. True.
You can complain of a bad strike zone for one day, but you can't complain over 30. The umpires aren't that bad, not for 36 games. Well, you're a pitcher, you might disagree, but
I've disagreed a lot over the years, but then again, last podcast with Mike, we had a little bit chat about statistics.
Yeah.
And statistics.
He wasn't believing it.
He didn't believe in statistics. It was more about feeling. Because, for example, if your guy is hitting bombs and line drives and they all get caught by short and whatever, the guy's on the ball. But his statistics will say,
okay, 0. So here's one of my philosophies. So
here we go.
There we go. Yeah, Mike, listen.
I agree with that, but also disagree a little bit as well.
Yeah,
all right.
True.
So softball to me, this is one of the things I tell people, is nothing but mathematics plus human intuition.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's the extra.
Yeah, it's the two. Mathematics is statistics, right? Yeah. So it's nothing but statistics plus human intuition. So you give me a whole bunch of stats, and then that's it. But then you need to go and know the player behind that and work out who can work under pressure, who can't, because there's 2 games within the game. But come on, man, you can't tell me that if he looks at the stats and they've both had 100 at-bats each and one player's hitting 400 and one's taking 130, what are you going to do? Okay, maybe if that guy can hit 130 under pressure, then you may pick the 130 player. But, that 500 player, you'd have to think that, he's got there or she's got there because they actually know how to play the game. But stats can be misleading, but then that's up to you as the coach to be able to read between the lines. If one player got that 250, 300 batting average because they went 4 for 4 against the bottom 2 teams and, went 8 for 8, then that's up to you to read that, subtract that from there and go, okay, then what did they do against the top 3 teams? Yeah. Oh, 0 for 3, 0 for 3, 1 for 4. So, 1 for 10, but you'll find most players like that. But that's why you need your special players. That's why you need your Jesse Van Els, your Mariella Vlogels, your Brenda Beers, because they're the ones that will only go 1 for 4 or 2 for 4 and do the special things. And hitters 7, 8, 9, will be lucky if they get 1 hit. That's why another one of my mantras is special players must do special things. Mm-hmm. That's nothing new. That's taken out of Jose Mourinho. Mm-hmm. Jose Mourinho, man, if you're on the big bucks, you got to do the special things. That's the reason why you get paid the money. Yeah. It's the same with your players. If you're from the national team, then when it comes to the business end of the season, then it's your job to get in those runs. Don't look at hitters 7, 8, 9. They're not in your national team. So, but I understand where he's coming from. But no, it's just get your stats and put the human intuition involved, and you should be able to get it right.
All right. Yeah, we'll take that away. So what I noticed this year was that it was a lot of difference between the other coaches that I had the years before there. Is that you're a really positive coach, and that you don't really address the negative things, but only the positive things for most of the times. But don't you get then filter out 50% of all the things that you can communicate?
I get angry.
Oh, you get angry.
Yeah, but the first question I ask myself each and every time is this going to make the team better if I say what I really think? And 95 times out of 100,
Probably not.
yeah, it ain't going to help. So if it isn't going to help the team, what's the point of pointing out something that they've done wrong? What you can do, though, and that's why I have my book, is I write it in the book, and then when I finish and we go to the bar, I'll have a quiet word one-on-one, and if there's a problem, then I'll address it, to the guy and say, hey, why did you do this? You should have done that. And then if they give me a valid answer, then I'll go, okay. Or sometimes you have to meet in the middle. I had one in the Holland Series final, actually, with Brenda, where I held up Alison Spinas at third, and Brenda just came tearing around, and we got in a jam, and that was in a final. And so we talked it out. I says, give me a percentage. How much of it was your fault? How much of it was mine? I says, 80-20. And like, oh, yeah, 80 mine or 80 yours? And she's like, no, 80 mine. And I was like, yeah, well, the 20%'s on me because I punked her, I tricked her in a way. But she should have known that, Alison. I wouldn't have been sending her home. But, even at a Holland Series final, we're still discussing. After we've just won the Holland Series, we should be celebrating it. Yeah. But here we are, sitting there, not arguing, but like we're still discussing, all right, well, what did we get wrong? This is after we've just won a championship. Like, that's how perfectionist we are.
That's the passion.
Yeah, and getting everything right. Well, because I feel bad because, have I hung her out to dry or, who's... Yeah. But we talk it out, work it out and move on with it. But if we had got angry at each other, if we had been yelling and spewing at each other, we still had 3 outs to get to win the game. Mm-hmm. That was only the bottom of the 6 where we made that stuff up. Not I, not her. We made that stuff up. But we still had 3 outs to get. And Alison was huffing and puffing because her fitness was no longer there. But we'd planned to bring Jessie in for the 7th anyway, for 2 hitters. But it's just, at some point, there's just no use arguing. Mm-hmm. There's a time and place to get it right. And it's not baseball. Baseball, they sort of, right up in each other's face and give it to each other. But they're athletes worth millions.
No, but that's the reason. That's the reason why we are addressing this, because we do youth, like b-ball and now softball under 12. And as a coach, I noticed that I can get more out of the kids when I'm saying, hey, good job on this, but next time try to do that a little bit better. Or they make a huge error. They pick up the ball and they throw at first and it's perfect, but the runner is already on the way to second. I go like, oh yeah, hell of a throw. That's amazing. Good recovery. So I'm not trying to highlight the negative. I'm highlight the positive. And what we had in the podcast before, especially the difference between like softball and baseball. In baseball, we played baseball as well. And we're guys.
Yes.
So maybe that's the difference. I have to ask you and for your answer on that. But boys will be boys. They will be, amazing if you throw that ball from short to first with 100 miles an hour and the runner is safe by inches. You're going to get beep. You're going to get some shit over it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the one thing I'll say when it comes to coaching the youth, especially if we're talking about positivity and keeping it positive.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do is you can let them know when they've done something wrong, still in a positive light, and that is by being animated with your body. All right. So when there's a mistake made, it's you can either yell at them verbally, sit there going, you messed up, you threw it. But you can also do something with, I don't know if there's cameras on here, but you can sit there and look at your play and go, and then put your hands on as if to say, that's universal for you messed up. Yeah. But if you're doing it smiling, going, just throw your hands up in the air like, I don't care. But if you could do those quick actions, the kid's going to look at you and going, I've messed up, haven't I? You're just like, oh, yeah. And then you're just like, don't worry about it, and just, But you can do all that rather than just yelling, going, what are you doing? You just sit there, smile and go, oh, no. And you just shake your head. It's like, you're going to just get off the field. But you don't sit there and go, what are you doing? You're useless. You can sit there and do it in a fun, positive way. And then when you get off into the dugout saying, hey, what did you do? What should you do next time? Oh, I should have done that. And if they can correct it and you extract it from themselves, you're like, yeah, okay. So next time, just make sure you do that. And the way I coach it with the kids, I've said this, I don't do this in all of when I'm back home in New Zealand and I'm coaching the coaches how to coach, because that was my job in Great Britain and in New Zealand was coaching the coaches how to coach. I'd always say, look, softball and baseball for the kids is just like learning your 6 times tables or your 5 times tables. Like, your 6 times tables, right? mathematics.
Are you asking me now to do
No,
it?
I'm not asking you now to do it, but you know your 5 times table now,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I'm like, softball's like that. We all get there eventually, but when you're learning it as a kid, when you get given it and you go home, and then there's that one smart-ass kid that already knows it straight away already, and already knows their 7 times tables. You're like, what? We haven't even learned the 7 times tables yet. There's some kids that are just going to be able to learn it, but we talk about how much our game is repetition. It is. Our game is a game of repetition, but the difference is some kids can learn immediately.
Yeah.
You give them their 6 times tables, they know straight away, and they'll go on to their 7 times tables, where some kids are like, they need like 3-4 days to learn their 5 times tables. They're a bit behind. Or, so when they do make that mistake, they make it again, but eventually they'll get it right. Just sometimes it takes them 3-4 times to get it wrong. And funnily enough, it's the kid that has the baseballing, softballing parents that usually doesn't even do it wrong the first time. They already know how to get it right. But the main thing is that you sit there and be patient with them and understand that sometimes it's going to take longer.
Yep.
It's going to take longer. It's frustrating when you're a coach, but then there's nice ways that you can go about it in getting that kid to learn.
Yep.
And again, even if they don't get it and I'm laughing with it, and I guess that's the difference between the American style coaching. But the difference with the American style coaching is their travel ball programs are severe. The parents are paying 5, 10, 15 grand for them to be part of elite teams because that's going to save mum and dad $200,000 in free scholarships when they get a free ride for their baseball, softball program. So it's more of an investment. So when they're investing those kind of amounts of money,
You want payback.
it's an investment. So they're going to be really harsh on that. But that's one of the reasons why I love being in Europe and I love being back in New Zealand, because I love being able to live my lifestyle the way that I do.
Without the pressure. Or something.
I don't mind the pressure though. Like I can go and
it's
do
more
it.
at ease, more
Yeah,
relaxed.
I like going to nightclubs and having fun. Well, not now, but 10 years ago and 20 years ago. Same as when I was in Great Britain. When I have to do my work and coach the national teams, I do. But then when my private life, well, my friends know me. I like having a good time and, going out, seeing the world, going to the pub and going to the nightclub, Whereas, gosh, if you do that in the States, you're under the microscope and everything you do is looked at. And I'm like, nah, man, I'd rather just live my life and have an easy time. But, I'd have no problem going to an NCAA school either. I can sit there and push the repeat button, and people's people, the sport's the sport.
Yeah.
But it's a different approach in oversee how they teach the kids than we do here. Everything you were talking about, we call it, at least I think I call it like sport-wise, sport wisdom,
Sport
smart. About the kids, some kids you teach a certain drill twice, and they'll be like, oh yeah, they got it. And I was talking to Reinier a couple weeks ago about
Again.
I don't know when it was exactly, but it was like men versus ladies. We have this drill. We're going to start a new drill. And the last couple of years at Alkmaria, we had these girls training us, Cindy. And,
Cindy.
And their visa.
Hold your horses. We got Cindy as well.
We got Cindy as well?
Yeah, there we go. This is Cindy van der Sanden.
Cindy is also a long-time member of the Olympia squad. And
Yeah, she was our coach last year with the Super Cup in Prague.
she has a question.
Hey Stan, this is Cindy. First of all, I want to thank you a lot for sharing your softball knowledge with us. I think the Dutch softball scene has been able to learn a lot about how you coach the game. I know I definitely did. Before you go, I would like to ask you 2 fun questions of conscience, actually. 1, would you rather be a legendary player or a legendary coach? The second one, would you rather retire as a forgotten coach with a winning record or a famous coach known to lose championships? Thanks and wish you all the best.
Ooh, that's a tough one, buddy.
The first one's easy. The first question's easy. I never cared for playing too much. Don't get me wrong, I did. I love the game and I did like playing, but I'd never do the extras. Because like I said, I played Aussie rules, I played other touch rugby.
A wide
cricket.
spectrum.
Yeah, I played so many different sports that I never focused on one, so I never did any extra training for softball. But because I had an upbringing with it, because of my dad, I knew, you never know everything, but I knew enough to get by. So definitely as a coach, because as a coach, I'm willing to put in the time into my players because I do care about people. But as a player, no. So I'd rather be, if it's an option, a legendary coach rather than a legendary player.
Cool. There's an answer.
Yeah. As opposed, the next question, would I rather be forgotten about but win, Because one of the things I've said to Olympia as I was leaving, I said, look, all I want to do is be remembered. That's the one thing that you want to do. You just want to make sure that, when I leave, that when they're having a beer there, they're like, oh, that was cool when we had Stan here for those years, and sit there going, yeah, he was fun and enjoyed a beer and, had a good time with the team. In saying that, though, I wouldn't take it at the cost of losing. Like I said to you just before, the amount of finals we won in a row, I'd rather take that and not be remembered. Mm-hmm. And as long as everyone else gets remembered.
Yeah, well,
I don't mind being the sacrificial lamb of not being remembered as long as that the players will be remembered. Yeah. People, and I still mention it, Eva Vortman, Danette Oosting, they are all the start of the 2015 team. They got this club to where they are. Brenda Beers, Marielle Vlogels, Rachel Van Veen, that nucleus there as the other players. And we had some good add-ons, some special players that came in between, Australians, Ellen Roberts, Tali Moore, the Great Britain players, Polish, Steph Pearce, Emma Wojcik, we've had Pauline Prada from France, Stephanie Toft from the Gators. She also helped this team in the first year of showing them what it looks like. And, she won the College World Series. There was lots of different things that happened for us to get where we did. Yeah. Some of it's luck, but some of it we planned for. But, the softball gods, I don't believe in God, but the softball gods have been looking after us. So, it is what it is. But we sort of worked hard to get where we did as well.
Great. Well, that's a lot of people that we have to tag on Facebook going along here.
That'll be all right.
Whoa.
We'll do some editing.
We were in a question and we noticed Cindy, of course.
Yeah. Just to get by, you've been coaching both men and ladies, and what we experienced when we had a new drill by Cindy and Devisa is that they were explaining the drill. All the boys were listening, all the men were listening to it, and we just start doing the drill, and it went wrong a couple of times. But we start doing the drill. After like 20 minutes, we get the hang of it and we continue to play the drill. But I notice with the girls, when I explain the drill and I want to get started, they'll be like, oh, no, wait. Is it true that we're going to do this to that person, to that person, to that person, to that? Yeah, okay. Shall we go along? Oh, no. And then the next girl is going to ask. So my question for you is, because no guy is going to tell the coach, I don't understand it.
Maybe I do a bit.
But that's my experience in it.
Yes. You're born the wrong gender, mate.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
And actually the girls, especially Devisa, she could get quite angry with you. Well, why don't you understand it? It is basic softball. And we were like, okay, perfect.
Again,
what's the difference in that? In explaining, so right. Am I on the good path?
No, yeah, that's exactly how it is. And it's funny because he was like, well, I'm not saying it's the female of the team in that regard. It's the analytical one. It's the analytical one where it's just sit there, must know everything before they commence.
Yeah.
Why is that? I'll tell you why. It's because they don't want to look stupid. They want all the information beforehand so they can go out and try and get it right the first time rather than looking like an idiot. Whereas the guys are just like going, yeah, I'll have a crack at it. Yeah. Give me a crack and I'm going to stuff this up and then I'll eventually get it right.
I'm gonna flame this ball on first base. It's supposed to go to 3? Oh, yeah. Shit. Sorry.
So one of the things that I tell the girls when I'm coaching them is, especially the new ones. So like I said, that's why I try and keep it simple. And then everyone, we do the same thing. And then it's pretty hard to get wrong if you're doing the first quarter of training the same. But one of the things that I try and tell them when we're doing a new drill, or if they're new to the club and it's new to them, I say, you go to the back and just be monkey see, monkey do. Watch the people in front of you and then just copy with what they do. Yeah. Don't go in the front, because if you get it wrong, then, it doesn't matter if you get it wrong. But then they just feel a bit insecure if they do get it wrong. And
they can build up.
But they just, going, especially if you're coming to a team that's successful and winning. Mm-hmm. You don't want to mess up their trainings. We have a hard time sometimes attracting players to the club because they sit there and go, but you guys win a lot. And it's like, yeah, but that's why we're asking you to come here, to help us to keep winning. Yeah. A good example of that was Franca Van Dyke. She had a choice of us at another club, but then she's like, am I going to be a starter? I'm like, well, if you hit the way you did it quick the season before, put up the same statistical numbers, then yes, you are. My human intuition tells me that, yes, you're going to be a starter. Nothing's guaranteed. But like I said, judging by the mathematics plus your human intuition, this is where I see you fitting into this team. And she was the number 2 hitter at the beginning of the Holland series and had 2 RBIs in game 5 in the number 5 hole, and transferring to our club. Yeah, so that's you got to be happy when people are doing things like that. But she's another one that will want information. Going, all right, how do we do this? And has a very analytical mind in everything she does. Because she's very smart at her job. I forget what she does, but she's very good at her work. Well, so are you. I remember talking to you. Well, again, I remember talking to Randy about one of the reasons why he wants to stop, because he's concentrating. He's concentrating on developing his business. You told me the amount, how much you want it to be, worth.
I have a job.
You have. But you were telling me your ambitions with that, and if softball has to go on the wayside, so you can concentrate on that, then all the power to you. It is just one of those ones where it's coming. So you try and explain as much as you can before you even start the drill, and I try and revisit. So a lot of the drills that I've done over the years, I don't reinvent the wheel. I go back to them, but I only have to. I have such a big sack full of drills and games that I only have to revisit them once or twice a season.
I have 3 basic drills on a paper, and I plastified it, so it's in the game bag. Whenever I am sick or not being able to be there, a parent or any other can get into the material bag, take out one of those 3 drills, and do them. And they all know how the drill works. I actually play poker with them. Which one are we going to do? Which of the 3? That's like you said with your posture and how you explain things and how you want to keep your kids and focused and aware. I think that's the way to address the under 12, the youth, in as well as baseball and b-ball. So that's a good tip by you, and a good difference also how to talk to a group of guys or talk to a group of girls. It's different.
It's a lot easier to talk to a group of guys, I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah?
Well, that's the discussion that we had the last couple of podcasts as well. So I'm eager to hear.
Maybe not the Olympia guys.
Maybe
the Olympia women have had me for 6 years now, so they know how we work.
I know most of the guys.
I only had them for 1 year, but I'd slowly mold them into the team that I want them. One of the things I was annoyed with the men's team this year, we just argued too much with coaches. Not with coaches, with umpires amongst ourselves. And
you think so?
That's a boy thing.
A little bit too much. Yeah, but it's a male thing. But and it happens, but it just happened a little bit too much for my liking. We got there in the end, but it's important to have those conversations as well. You can't let it fester. It's good. That was one of the good things, is that we were confrontational for it. But sometimes, like I said, they could have actually just let it be and then talked about it after a game, not sort of like in game and stuff like that. But
it happens in games.
It happens.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
Because you were also announced to be the best coach of this year, actually, from the KNBSB.
Yes.
Coach of the year.
I'm the coach of the year for now, for 1 more month maybe.
Yeah. That's a good way to go home, bro.
I don't know who's got it this year. But
they'll probably send it after you then.
It is, it is kind of funny, because I said that I was joking with Manny and Niels. I was like, well, when we were talking about having the men's team put together for this year, and I was like, well, I'm going to have to do something special to try and get it, because, like I said, we won the last 4 Holland series that I've been here, but a side thing is they've given me coach of the year the last 3 years that I've been here as well. So if they do give it to me this year, then that's why I said I'm going to have to do something extraordinary.
Let's get the men's time.
So yes, I'm like, let's try and with the Premier Cup we knew we were going to, but I'm like, am I going to try and win all 3?
Onto the R, right?
Yeah,
that's
who
the
knows?
one.
But what I want to mention that you are the coach of the year till now. But do you also know that you have like kind of an authority within the game as well? Because I have an example where it stands out completely.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't really care about it too much. All I want is my coaches to like me, the fans from Olympia, and the players. As long as I do good by, and it doesn't matter from the top to the bottom. I don't care if I'm speaking to the president of the country, to some homeless guy outside Decamart. I still treat people with the same amount of respect. Which can sometimes be a good thing and a bad thing, but
it's mainly a good thing.
Yeah, and it's.
I will give the example as well, because we were playing at Nieuw Zeeland, and it was like a game with a lot of arguing and chit chatting.
At Nieuw Zeeland?
At Nieuw Zeeland,
I remember that one.
Yeah. And at a point there was like a really large argument about some play, and the rules weren't quite obvious and crystal clear. But then he said, the opponent said, well, this is a new rule. We have to apply it. And then everybody looked like to you about you. You were reacting like that, and you were like, okay, well, that rule, we tried it a lot of times with the girls as well, but it isn't in Holland. It's not really built into the system yet. So the
BSC.
WBS.
I know what rule you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the new pitcher catcher rule.
Yeah.
And they were trying to sneak on a runner for their pitcher. And I'm like, no, all the other European nations have taken it on, but your nation has decided not to for whatever reason.
All right.
And then I said to him, listen, I'd allow it if it was allowed, but I tried to, otherwise I'd be doing it. Yeah, I told them. I said, look, if that rule was in, I'd be using it to have Manny run for and Anthony. Yeah. I'd be abusing the rule. Like, that's what you do. Well, it's not abusing it. It's just using the rules, whatever the rules are. Yeah. And then I told him, I says, no, otherwise I'd let you. And yeah, you're right. They all looked at me and I was like, no, I can tell you now that's what's going on right now.
Yeah, and the other team were
ground on that one.
They were looking at Stan, and they said,
"Okay,
okay,"
Yeah.
and they're going back in their in their cave.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
It's the same as the
and-
DP flex. A lot of the teams were like going, you can't do that. And some of the umpires that were umpiring our games were sort of just doing it to help out.
Yeah,
and you feel bad because I'm like, no, I'm not going to cheat on you guys, all right? But I'm telling you, this is legal what I'm doing, but I'm not abusing it or doing anything. And you feel bad. But most of the umpires knew what they're doing. But every now and again, there'd be a game where it's one of the parents.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And again, knowledge is power, and especially with statistics.
But is that also an advice that you can give like new coaches as well?
Get a scorer. Train up one of the parents to be a scorer. The new way of doing it is electronically. Niels Meek has been doing it for our club. We have two scorers. We have Kalinda that does the paper scoring and Niels does all the electronic. Yeah. But one thing I would do is because you know what? Doesn't matter what age you are. When you're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, you want to know how good you are.
Yeah.
You want to learn and like going, hey, what does 250 mean? Well, they know that 330 is better than 250, going, oh, yeah. The problem with that is, of course, if you're a kid that bats 110, 120, but then don't show it to those kids. Just, the kids that do want it and that are doing good, it's like, yeah, there you go. Or then you can sit there and one-on-one say, listen, you're 110, we're going to do this to get you to 150 next year. And chase those numbers to, because that's, at the end of the day, like I says, a lot of what we're doing is statistical data.
And what I notice with the kids is that they really want to know during the game, what's the score? Are we in front or are we behind?
Yeah.
And of course, they're always either tie or behind. We're never up front. You know? That's a little bit of a trick, of course.
We talk about giving the kids something to do. That's why you take your big whiteboard. Yeah. Take your whiteboard with your marker and and draw it up manually, with you so you can just rub it out. Yeah. But give them a job saying, put up the score so the kids can check it out, who's got there or who's got the run. There's so many... Yep. Lots of little things that you can do, but it's you as the coach what you train them up to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the problem is that so many coaches, they're the one all and, there's no one else to help them. Mm-hmm. That's when the game doesn't become fun. You end up doing a half-assed job because you're having to do the uniforms, wash the uniforms. There's probably scoring as well, doing absolutely everything, getting their lunch ready. But it's like, you know what? I bet you a lot of those coaches haven't asked for help. Or they haven't asked the right people to help, or they haven't asked everyone to help. That's the main thing, man. You can't do these things on your own. Mm-hmm. You need help. And
that's a good tip.
And another thing is that I say to everyone, I even use this to people when they're going out to nightclubs and trying to, chase women when they're younger. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
So if you're going to sit there and be the shy one that won't go up and talk to the hot girl at the club, it's like, guess what? You're never going to have her. But if you're willing to go up and say, hey, you look nice, let's
have a chat.
Yeah, can I get you a drink? And they're like, going, nah, I'm not. I don't fancy you. It's like, oh yeah, okay, but you asked, you didn't get. But what happens? What happens if they do say yes? Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, then you need to be able to have a bit of game as well. But it's the same if you coach at a team, man. If you don't ask the parents, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, what happens? Oh, my family own an orchard. Oh, so you can bring apples and oranges to the game. Yeah, it's like, yeah, okay, there you go. There's your apples and oranges taken care of. Probably just saved you 400 euros in the budget for the year. You don't know what these people do, but if they've got something, use it. You're not using them. You're just using what they have access to.
Yeah.
So you're talking about scoring. Do you score yourself as well, or do you let anybody else score?
No, we've got two people that do it. Kalinda de Vries is our team scorer. she does the paper version, and Niels Mika does the spray chart.
Yeah,
he does the electronic scoring where you can sit there and have the spray part chart ready for it.
There you can
These are a
tell.
lot of these are a lot of little things that people don't know that we do in our team that some of the other teams just don't do. So we have all the information at hand straight away, and for the season, over multiple seasons. We used to do it by hand my first year I was here, but now that the tablets are getting better. There's ones that you can pay for that are a lot better, but we still do it the Dutch cheap way and use the free versions. Yeah. But there are some better ones out there.
What's the big advantage of electronic scoring? Because I think the big advantage is that you get information of your opponents.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, not only your own players, what your own players are doing against the pitcher, because that's on the paper. The paper gives you information about your own players, but the electronic will give you information about the teams you're playing.
And it's instant.
Am I right?
Yeah. And you know which pitches they're hitting off you and where.
Yeah. So you
manipulate your field according to where they hit the ball. We all have our tendencies.
That is something that's new, I believe, for Holland-wise.
Well, MLB are doing it at-bat by at-bat. They're going back and checking their swings and, after every at-bat. Like, that's the new extreme. We don't do it as much as that.
No.
But,
But for a youth coach, should we use the I-score?
No, that's...
I don't think for the under 12.
Under 12,
15 is getting
once you get up to under 15s, they're smart enough to realise what they want to be doing for the season. But why not at under 12s as well? You can start teach them that if you have the capacity with the parents to do that.
Yeah.
But start training them up how to do it, because you know what? It'll be fun for the parents to start doing it as well. You might find that the parent's kid ends up being top batter because, any of those half hits are not errors there.
They're going to be scored differently.
But you know what? If that's the trade-off, if that's the trade-off that the kid's going to automatically be top batter, then it's,
And you get the commitment from parents for the season.
The buy-in.
Too.
Yeah, and then you know what? Then you get a buddy. You say, all right, train someone else.
You need to give every parent a part in your team.
Yeah.
Or a job or whatever. You can ask.
Pretty much.
Yeah, if they want.
If there's 10 kids, there's going to be 10 parents, maybe 20, maybe only 12, 13, 14, 15, if there's a few divorces in there and whatnot. But if you go and ask them, you don't even need all of them. Half.
Yeah.
Half of 10's 5. If you get 5 volunteers, you're set. You can sit there and go, 1 assistant coach, 1 scorer, and 1 in charge of lunches, 1 in charge of transport, 1 team manager. There's just so many different roles that are needed in our sport. It's one of the best and worst things about it, is all the extra help you need. Yeah. Same as the equipment, the amount of equipment we need. It's $300 for a bat, $150 for a glove, It's not cheap. It's not a cheap sport to play.
I was shocked about the prices for the mouthpieces, the guard pieces.
Yeah?
Yeah,
man. They're like 45 euros.
45 euros for the little field guard. It all adds up.
And then you need 6 in the field.
Yep.
That's a lot.
It's
yeah.
But then again, you know what horse riding costs you.
Yeah, it's cheap. Yeah, maybe cheaper to play softball.
So I've a really small questions forward. So what are your strengths?
My strengths?
Yeah.
People.
In communication, maybe.
Just knowing people.
Yeah.
I grew up not poor, but grew up reasonably poor, and I've lived in 9 different countries, travelled over 80.
You developed some skills.
Yeah, you just know people.
So what are your weaknesses?
Professionalism.
All right.
I do the.
You wouldn't say.
I do the minimum standards when it comes to being professional. I do it when I have to. Yeah. I don't like it. Like when I'm coaching national teams, I'll cut my hair and have my hair all properly done. But that's why I love the club environment, because you still get to be yourself as much as possible. But when you're coaching your national teams, that's a good thing for me though. It makes me be professional, but it's not my true personality.
All right. And next year, what are you gonna do in New Zealand?
Enjoy life. Watch softball. Yeah. Maybe even go back to playing a little bit.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I'll go play some low grades. Yeah. Just
the cool thing is that maybe we can even see you if there's a live broadcasting, something like that. Yeah. Because like 5 years ago, there wasn't on the field any broadcasting.
It's almost everywhere
like
now.
You can even buy now. It's called movie cams or something like that. Yeah, you can buy that stuff for like 1,500 euros. And then you can live stream.
Look at him talking as if Kiwis all have 1,500 euros spare. not everyone has successful businesses like you do, mate.
No.
Yeah, that's even in New Zealand dollars, 1,500. That's a lot of money for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Luckily, my family are okay now, but like there's a lot of New Zealand families that are doing it tough at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they will keep getting better in the future. Right?
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell. Okay.
Talking about time.
Yeah. We
I
have
see a great question here, Oak. What do you see yourself in 5 years from now? You're
5
going
years?
back home.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend's coming with you. And are you married? Girlfriend just yet? Plans?
She's told me her ring size.
I
know her ring size is 50.
All right,
She's told me plenty of times.
You're getting there. You're getting there.
I'm not. Well, if you had
again.
asked me 5-6 years ago, yeah. But we may have to get her into the country. It's pretty hard to get into New Zealand at the moment. We already got declined once,
They got
so we're
strict
applying
rules,
again.
right?
Yeah, strict rules. And because we aren't married and we don't have kids, then they're sort of like going, "Are you really in a relationship?" And we're not financially independent, so yeah, we have to try and work out what we need to do to get her to move into New Zealand. We can just get her a job. You know, she's highly employable, so we may have to just do that route. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. But in terms of where will I be in 5 years, that's the beauty about the life that I've lived. I've always just sort of, I plan 1, 2, 3, 4 years ahead.
Yeah.
But I never really planned 5 years ahead. The last 4-year plan that I did have in place was here. So if I did go to do another coaching gig, it would be something that I can see merit in and something that excites me. But it becomes less and less now. So it's pretty hard to get excited about different coaching
And
opportunities.
what about a different sport?
Yeah, one
that
thing that
be?
has interested me is rugby league. So I was decent rugby league player. I was just too small. But again, I had the brains for rugby league. So rugby league would be something I'd be interested, or Aussie rules. I'd be interested to go and coach in Aussie rules as well, because that's another thing, because my body was a lot smaller than others. You had to be smart, otherwise you'd be getting knocked out.
So you learn all the way.
Yeah, and with softball, it was easy. Like when I moved to New Zealand,
in your genes.
yeah, and I moved to Auckland, the Auckland League in my era was ridiculous.
Good.
Yeah, you know all the names.
A couple.
Yeah, like Donny Hale, Brad Rona, Dion Nukunuku, Nathan Nukunuku, Pat Shannon, Heine Shannon, Roman Gabriel. They're just absolutely packed with talent. Oh, did I say Brad Rona? Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, so Brad Rona was from North Harbour.
TC, Thomas Cameron.
Thomas Cameron. Yep, from Ramblers as well. Daniel Lamb Hunt, who's playing baseball in Germany at the moment. Yeah, there's...
And you played in that league with those guys.
Yeah.
You just got by.
Yeah, I was just another player. Like, I was one of the better players in my team.
Unbelievable.
But again, like I said, even back then, I was just so used to partying. And because I was so smart, I knew I was never going to be as good as those guys. I was 60 kilos. Those guys are 90 kilos, 100 kilos, 105 kilos of muscle. They just tap the ball and it goes flying over the fence. Yeah. And the good thing was I used to play centre field. So I used to sit there and just bang. And you didn't even have to go running for the ball half the time. Yeah, because if it goes up in the air...
It's gone.
Oh, yeah, it's gone. Or if it goes that high up, you could run... You pretty much only need one outfielder. I could run all the way to right field and left field by the time the ball drops.
Yeah.
But it was good fun to play against those guys. I didn't know them much. I never really socialised with them. Like I said, I was a one-club man. We used to have the... I don't know if I should say that. We had very good-looking people at our club. We our friends and our girlfriends' friends. So we'd always just go straight to our parties afterwards, and
Just have fun.
Yeah, like we're a 500 club, or sometimes a little bit less. Like we'd win 10, lose 10. So we would come last, but we couldn't compete with the top-tier teams because we didn't have any Black Sox players in our team. But we would have guys like Rob Gray or Hayden Smith, Heater. Like we had some good players ourselves, really good players, but it still wasn't good enough to win the Auckland or North Harbour League. Yeah, there was just too many good players and too many good teams back then.
Well,
Did you do a haka? Can you do a haka?
Yeah. I had to lead it for the Aussie Rules team because I've got part Maori blood in me. But it doesn't look fierce when someone's 64 kilos, leading 22 other guys. I was, like I said, I was a skill player. I was small. So, yeah, I can do it. but it's not as fearsome as like,
But
guys like Manny and people bigger than Manny doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know how to do it. Everyone does. Well, not everyone, but most people know how to do it. But I just, because
how do you learn that? Is it something that you learn at
It's something you
school or
brought
on
up.
the street?
Yeah, like all my cousins, like my dad's part Māori, but my mum's Scottish. But all my dad's brothers and sisters married more Māoris, I should say, and Samoans and Islanders. So you look at my cousins, and they're all dark, not Antillean dark, but they're dark brown is the color that you should choose. But so you'd look at us and go, no, but I've got the Scottish white skinny jeans, but I could go brown in the summer. But you just grow up with your cousins. And that's what you did. Yeah, and the different regions have different hakas. When you play your schoolboy under 15s, under 17s, the different regions have their different hakas. And before games, they would... the age groups used to be awesome in New Zealand because they would do hakas before games and get themselves real fizzed up. Sometimes there'd be doubles. So they'd start, and they'd do a return one. And and the umpires are like, come on, boys, hurry up, we've got to play. But it gets you fired up before the game.
I had the honor playing at Zeister against New Zealand in the prep for the World Championship. I had the honor of actually starting a game of our national team against New Zealand. And I've pitched for 3 innings and I struck out 1. Yeah. But the haka right in front of us, that was something.
Yeah.
That was something. And later on, I thought it should be illegal. Because they get so hyped up. And it was so intimidating. They was like, oh man, they're already 10 runs in front, 10 runs in front of us, and we had to play.
If you think about it, a couple hundred years ago is not that long ago.
No.
But, when they used to do it, it's like you're basically going in knowing that if you fail, you die.
Yeah.
Well, because you're getting ready to go into battle. And, so, and when you do it, you actually sort of get into a trance and you go to another place.
Yeah.
Remember I was telling you before about if I was to enter a boxing career, I'd know I'd have good friends to say, no, you can't. Like if there was ever to be a chance, if you do a haka beforehand, you could, for a temporary amount of time, you'd think you can beat Mike Tyson. But then once you get punched in the face, it only works for so long. And that's why the frenzy, you can get yourself up into a frenzy as much as you like, but at the end of the day, you have to go and play rugby for 80 minutes. You have to go get 21 outs in softball. So sometimes it can be detrimental because you waste, I don't like what use the word waste, but you expend a lot of energy into the haka. Whereas if a team's looking at you going, this doesn't worry me, then game on. Then you've just pretty much spent a lot of energy into the wrong direction. But if you can use it for good, then by all means. Or if it gets into the game for the first 5 minutes in rugby or rugby league, then by all means do it. But at the end of the day, you still have to play for 80 minutes and play with a lot of skill. But in terms of tradition, it is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to watch, and it's been getting so much better over the decades. If you look at some of the hakas in the 70s and 80s, some of them were embarrassing, but they are good now. Like really good. And it is an honor. And you can feel like, hold on, it's an advantage for them to get it. But then my argument would be, hold on, did the better team win, or did they win because of the haka? Or, it's one of those.
I can
ones.
actually say the better team won.
But you got your one strikeout. And guess what? You could probably tell me the whole 10-minute, you could turn that into a 10-minute story, right? The one strikeout.
Because I was starting as a pitcher, my shortstop and my third baseman, they made awesome plays.
Yeah.
So, of course. The ball, the ball got in play, and that's also...
that's what you're trying to do, right? Get outs. Yeah, that's going to be hard to strike out the Black Sox guys. You just got to work out, all right, where's the safest place to pitch?
That's it. The only thing I didn't want to do is throw down the pipe. Curveball didn't work.
Yeah.
It was awesome playing. It was a real honor, and that's something I will never forget. That's something amazing.
Well, that's something I've never done, so...
Cool. Okay, let's do a short stop, because we have a short stop, because it's a word
Shortstop.
thing. It's nice. Everybody laughs. So we have also a home plate here that
I've signed it already.
That's really great. And we have also like a word, funny word van grapje, and we call it like the thuisplaat, the home plate. But then that woordgrapje, that doesn't work in English.
It doesn't work very good in English.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but as well. But we want to know what's your favorite song, actually.
Your soundtrack.
My favorite song.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be related
what ticks you?
to coaching or
My
sports.
favorite song is Mike and the Mechanics, The Living Years.
You just can't get agreement in this present tense. We all talk a different language.
right.
It's a soppy, slow song.
That's all right.
From the 80s. I've just always liked it.
You're an 80s guy.
I am an 80s, 90s guy, yeah.
I can relate to that.
I like my 80s music.
Do you have some last things that you have to say to other coaches or parents that they have to know that we didn't ask you?
Stick with it. It's just, there's going to be some days where you feel like you're getting nowhere. But then after a while, if you stick with it and gain knowledge from as many people as you can, the way that I explain coaching is it's either called the funnel effect or the hourglass effect. So the question is how big is your funnel or how big is your hourglass? And what I mean by that is the shape of an hourglass. Like some people can have a thin one. Now, what a thin hourglass means that you've had hardly any people to learn from, all right? But if you are lucky enough to have a large hourglass because you've learned all that information and all that sand is all your knowledge, all right? The thing that annoys me is the people that have a funnel or an hourglass that goes wide at the top and then is almost thin at the bottom. That is basically a player that has been playing for 20 years and then quits the game and does nothing and doesn't share that information. So their funnel is that. So the hourglass that I want to see is you obviously want as wide as possible to come in, and then you want it as wide as possible to go out. You want them teaching as many people as possible. So the other problem with what I'm talking about there is sometimes we have coaches that have a thin funnel or a thin hourglass, but then they go and coach everyone.
Yeah.
And they're coaching the wrong stuff. Yeah. All right. So what I'm trying to say is if you're a coach, try and make your hourglass or your funnel as wide as possible. And if it's thin to begin with, don't worry about it. That's why I say stick with it and increase your hourglass or your funnel and fill that up with as much information. And you know what? If that only goes to one team, then so be it. If it's thin at the bottom, but just make sure you try and fill up the top part first. And if you are starting early, like if you're asking the parents, that have only done it for their first year, then find ways to make sure they can fill up that hourglass as much as possible. There's various ways to do that. Obviously, to try and gain experience is the hardest of possible of all. But you got to find ways to fill up that hourglass so you can sit there and work out what the bottom half of your hourglass looks like. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's the easiest way I try and explain it.
You need to fill it up with information.
Yeah.
You can get it online. You can do some trainings. You can talk to your technical committee of your club if there's ways to get you enrich your experiences. There are many ways to do that.
And the other key word I'd say is time.
And
time.
One of those things is to listen to the podcast of Coach Paul, of course.
Yeah. Actually,
you get a lot of information there.
Well, this is one of the reasons why you created this, right? To help, and this will be part. So this is one of many tools that can be help with their sand in their hourglass. So listening to this is, it widens it that much. Maybe the podcast is that good that it opens it up this much. I have no idea.
Every little bit of information
but every bit helps.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can sit there and listen to this on the car ride into work, from work. You can find a way where it doesn't take up any extra time. True. Instead of listening to music on the way in, listen to the podcast, get a few tips here and there.
Yeah.
And cool. Maybe that's where you get from Sandra. Sandra can give you the skills and drills to do at training sessions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Can't wait.
Okay, thanks. So how can people stay in touch with you if they have questions or they want more information?
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those ones that has private accounts. I always believe I don't have two accounts.
Yeah, you're a people guy, yeah?
Yeah, I just have one person. It is who I am. Like I said, it's a weakness of mine because if you do scroll through, you'll find some of my younger days in there. But one of my arguments is like, that's who I was at that point in life. So why would I bother hiding it? If you want to hold it against me, then you can. You're more than welcome to. But that's what I did when I was in my early 20s or late 20s. Or I went on Facebook. Yeah, it's who you are. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to shy away from it.
Okay, I've learned one more thing from you this year, and that's what I want to ask you to explain our listeners as well. So can you tell a little bit about us, about the red hat and the blue hat?
Okay. So that's from, it's from reading the All Blacks book. And we talk about being in the red head and blue head state in life, but especially in sport. And the way I can relate to it in softball is we talk about it as pressure moments. And I always talk about how there's two games within the game. And I remember coaching a team one year and they says, oh, we don't really like it. We just like playing for fun. We don't really like playing with pressure. And I just looked and remember thinking, oh my God, you've never won anything, have you? Because when you're winning a lot of big tournaments, along with it comes pressure. And the biggest pressure comes between the pitcher and catcher first, right? So what happens when pressure builds in the body? Redhead. You start getting into a redhead state. And then obviously the more that you can stay in a blue, calm demeanor, you're able to function better. And that's one of the things that we talk about, the Olympia way. And that's a big part of it, is us being able to perform in a blue head state of mind as long as possible. And actually, always. Like, even when we know the pressure's on, it's like absorb it, acknowledge it, work out what the next play is, and move on. It's something that I try and do with my coaching as well, not just with the playing group.
You do it yourself as well, because you didn't highlight the new Venep guys as well. That you just said like, well, I'm not understanding anything about this because they're talking not my language.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. I forgot that moment. They're like, Stan, you got to go in and say something of this, because my players were getting upset at me. And I'm like going, well, why am I upset? I have no idea what they're talking. They're talking papiamento. You're arguing over some small trivial stuff that's like, and they would argue about things where I'm like going, guys, they've scored 14 runs. When they've scored 14 runs, it's like there's nothing really to argue about. No. It's the same as when we complain about umpires' strike zones, but then you've made 5 errors during the game and you're worried about a ball that didn't get called on the outside of the part of the plate. It's like you need to sort out your own backyard before you start complaining about other people's. So, yeah, that happens. Again, blue head, red head state. Again, I think to myself, what getting emotional or caught up in those moments.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but you got to think about the next play.
It's kind of like pick your battles.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to get full send and which one are you going to note to your book?
Yeah, but for the men's Fridays or for the women's Saturdays, it's just a reflection of the work that you do on Tuesday, Thursday night or Monday evening.
Yeah.
So the work gets done throughout the week. The Friday, Saturday is your chance to express what you know about the game, what you've learned about the game, what our game plan is. But we're very clear with the women's team about what our plans are. With the men's, I was trying to feel it out because I was learning the guys as we were going through the season. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, and we had some speed in the men's team too. Like, there's some quick guys. So we were like, all right, who's the guys that we just put a ball and play and let's get them racing, let's get them stealing. And because you can create pressure by with your base running too. So you can't really create pressure. If I call it RST. So any of you coaches, young coaches out there, the term I use for base running is, are you an R, S, or T? It's easy to remember because the letters go one after the other.
Yeah.
The R stands for, are you a rabbit? All right, because there's more allowances for the kids that are rabbits. The S stands for just standard. All right, are you a standard runner? Are you a standard player? And the T stands for turtle. Yeah. So when we just talk about it, and the players have got to be honest with themselves. They're like, no, I'm a turtle. And I'm like, well, that's okay if you're a turtle. Then you need to learn how to hit home runs, or you need to be very, very smart on the base path. Because Mariella Vlogels was, I consider her a standard. Once she gets going, she's all right. But she knows when a ball's landing. She can tell when the ball's hit off the bat. Because there's different variations of it, right? If you're a smart base runner, but you're a turtle, it's okay. But if you're a dumb base runner and a turtle, they're coach killers, those ones. But you'll find that a lot of rabbits, though, are not the smartest base runners. Because in their head, they think they can run the entire... Yeah, they just think they can run everything. But they don't know where the ball's going to land, or they just think they can get to third when they can't. But when you get a rabbit with brains, they're coaches' dreams. But that's the way that I train the Olympia girls and guys up. And the kids, I don't change it. That's something I do the same with the seniors and I do it with the kids. Are you a rabbit or a turtle?
I'm going to take that with me.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And the kids. But the thing is, they joke about it. And they're on second base. And, there'll be one of the players out there and I'm looking, scouring to say, am I going to send them home? They're just like, hey, remember I'm a turtle. just remember, yeah. They'll fully put themselves, like, I think Michelle's one of them, the catcher. Sometimes she'll, like, if she does a good base running moment, she's like, I'm a rabbit now.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool. But they end up taking the mickey out of themselves, and you can have fun with it rather than try and hide from the fact, going, oh no, I want to be a rabbit. I know I'm a turtle, but I really want to be a rabbit. It's like, no, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with being a turtle. Usually they win the race, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take that any day.
All right, yeah, so it is.
I'll take that any
All
day.
right, well, thank you a lot. We're at the end
Yeah,
of this
man.
podcast. Yeah,
Thanks of enlightening us with your life story and
yeah.
awesome tips. I think I have like 4 or 5 pointers for next season already. And the main thing is that, in a way, I feel that I'm on the right track. You've gave me so much more info about training and about non-verbal communicating with the kids. And I think that's the way it should be. And it should be fun for everyone to do.
A smile cures most things.
Yeah.
If you walk it in, you're smiling. When you're leaving, you're smiling.
Yeah.
The trick is, though, it's got to be genuine. And the only way it can be genuine is if you're enjoying your life. You've got to be enjoying your life to be smiling. That's why I'm smiling. And actually, people noticed it. Anouk van der Heuvel noticed it. She's like, Stan, you're not smiling. And it was one of those periods where I was just so tired.
Yeah.
And then I looked at Anouk and I was like, you know what? You're right. And because she knows me well, she's seen me here the entire 6 years. And I just smiled and I went, wow, this smile is fake. So, yeah, make sure you're smiling, but find out a way that your life's so enjoyable that they're genuine smiles, because that'll reverberate. It'll reverberate into the kids, into the parents.
Yeah.
And it'll be good for everyone.
Cool. Nice takeaway.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, thanks a lot. All right.
That's a wrap.
Yeah.
This was a great interview, man. I enjoyed every minute of it. Thanks.
Cheers, man.
This is awesome.
All right.
Especially on the time with the smile. Because I can really relate to the fake smile.
Yeah, it's got to be genuine, man. It's got to be it.
Hey Wes,
Ja, Rijn.
jij nog een mailtje gehad laatst?
Ja. En dat ga ik eigenlijk aan iedereen adviseren om ook even in te vullen.
Oh, wat stond er in dat ene mailtje wat je had gehad?
Inschrijven. Ja, in mijn hoofd gaat het nu allemaal zo vast op elkaar.
Leuk. Nog een keer.
Ja.
Hey Wes, ontvang jij wel eens een mailtje?
Regelmatig, Rijn.
Ja. En toevallig ook over coachbal?
Nee, nog niet.
Nou, dan schrijf je eventjes in voor de nieuwsbrief.
Ah,
Op onze website gewoon je e-mailadres invullen, krijg je om de week een mailtje. Daarin staat dan uitgelegd hoe je daar de podcast kan luisteren. Of er staan berichtjes op van onze nieuwe informatie die op de website staat.
dus alle items die vernieuwd zijn, nieuwe stukjes die
Ja,
geschreven
ho, ho, ho.
worden.
Nu doe je net alsof je al weet wat erin staat, terwijl je
Nee.
nog ineens die mail ontvangt.
Nee, inderdaad. Dus schrijf je even in
Ja.
op de nieuwsbrief,
Ga gewoon doen.
e-mailadresje en zo.
Top.
En mis niks.
Niks.
Helemaal niks.
Doei.